5:04. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and then we can do a roll call.
I like your necklace.
Thank you. Let's see. So we have President Carlos Sanchez.
Here.
I was like, I know you're here. VP Rueda.
Hello.
VP Finley is absent and excused, which is why I'm doing this. You're good luck. VP Gonzalez. I should know people's last names, but I think he's absent. Unless he's come in. Does not seem to have. Cool. Let's see.
Hey, Will, I could offer some support on this one.
Please.
So we have President Cano Sanchez, who's she, her, hers, an excused absence from VP Finley. We're lacking VP Gonzalez, VP Rueda we have here. Social Justice and Equity Officer Mayuli Cuellar has an excused absence. We're looking for Environmental Sustainability Officer Gabrielle Smith.
Present.
And Graduate Student Representative Lily Huang.
Here.
We have an excused absence for College of Natural Resources and Sciences Representative Sarah Conga Livingstone. CNRS Representative Will Weinberg is serving as Vice Chair today. And College of Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences Representative Amala Mora.
Here.
The College of Professional Studies Representative Marisol Angeles has an excused absence. We then have CPS Rep Jordan Lamar.
Here, if you couldn't hear me, I'm sorry.
Thank you. And at-large Representative Ali Follett.
Here.
And also at-large Representative Yodexi Gutierrez.
Here.
Okay. External Affairs Representative Paula Valdovinos.
Here.
Hey, Pao. Public Relations Officer Cassie Caudillo.
Here.
And AS Presents Representative Flo Lemus. Okay, you have quorum and only just. So if any board member needs to leave, please make us completely aware. We will lose quorum and need to end the meeting when that time is reached. So if everyone could be sure, if you're a voting member, to stay on for the entirety of the meeting, you'll keep us within quorum and keep us legally able to conduct business. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Casey. So we're going to move on to our third item. Yep, that's how that works. Approval of agenda number 17. I think that's the right number. Yes, cool. Is everyone cool with that? I think I need a motion. I do need a motion. I know I do. In a second.
Second.
Does anyone object to the passage of the agenda as is? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to minutes, which we do not have for this meeting. So we're going to move on to the chair's report. I want to welcome everyone in the audience for being here. Thank you so much for giving up your Friday. So we're doing this on Zoom. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. It stops any sort of echoing or other crazy things that might happen. If any participants wish to speak, raise your hand and a representative concede time for you to speak. And then our voting, you've all been here for what, 4 weeks now. If you want to say yes, you hit the yes button, which is the green check. If you object, you hit the no button, which is the red X. And if you're abstaining, you can raise your hand. Jeremiah gave me some things to say. So office hours will not be required for the remainder of the semester. And office hours summaries for this past week will be excused if they did not get submitted. Also, the transition report, he wanted to remind everyone to start thinking about doing them. And if you need any help, to reach out to Mayuli, Jeremiah, or Casey. And then last but not least, I've heard a little rumor about one of our wonderful support staff or professional staff, whichever one they want to be called. It's the executive director's 3-year anniversary with AS today. And I wanted to say thank you to her. She works so hard, and just thank you so much. And everything you do is so wonderful. Allie asked, I can read that later. So we're moving on to item 6, public comments. As you see on the screen, we use Gloria Romero's Open Meeting Act. If anyone would like to speak from the audience, please raise your hand.
Hello.
All right, we have someone trying to speak. What's going on? Okay, Justin has risen his hand.
Yeah, hi, yes, hello. My name is Justin Hawkins. I'm the budget administrator for the Campus Center for Appropriate Technology. I guess I had some comments regarding the recommended budget that was released last week or the beginning of this week, I suppose. And I don't know if there's time for responses from the board of directors, but there's some pretty concerning numbers in there. I think mostly what I'd like to refer to is that pretty much everyone seems to be getting hit pretty hard with the cuts, except the AS government and AS general operations have both seen an increase in their budget. And while I understand the politics are pretty complicated, I think in terms of like transparency and making this as an educational opportunity for everyone as possible, just that total transparency. And if we could get a justification for why the AS government and AS general operations, both their budgets were increased while everyone else's was cut. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've been using our general discussion time if we would like to respond to any of the public. So yeah, what Casey just said in the chat. Thank you so much for speaking. Amanda from RAP has her hand raised as well. So stand up.
Thanks for just bringing transparency to light, Justin. I appreciate your public comment. I'm here today. Well, first of all, I'm a part of RAP, but I'm here today for public comment as a student to share a story with the board and also rally student support for a project. And before I go into what this project is about, can I get a clarification from the chair if there was a last minute thing added to the agenda?
So no, because we can't do that per Gloria Romero's Open Meeting Act. We are not allowed to do that without the 72 hours. We can definitely talk about it during the general discussion, and we as in myself, Jeremiah, and some of the staff, we understand and we want to be able to help you in any way possible. We just can't be out of compliance with our codes.
Okay, cool. So that's why I'm here to make a public comment, because I also want to push this further than just the board of directors, but to any students that are in this meeting. But especially the board of directors, I think having AS support on this would really be moving to the institution. So the story goes like this. Last fall, I was taking a class in the Native American Studies department. The class is NAS 331, Indigenous Natural Resource Management. And the class was made up of 30 students from 12 different majors. On our first day of class, our professor, Dr. Cutcher Risling-Baldy in the NAS department, she introduced our semester-long class project assignment. And it wasn't your typical kind of class project. She posed the question, what do you think HSU campus needs? And then we all got really dreamy about all these things that we could do on our campus as students. And then she asked, what do you think we can, as a class, accomplish in the semester? And the outcome was really cool. So our idea was some kind of kitchen space that's going to be utilized for academics, events, gatherings, and it's going to be connected to food and food security. And so before we moved forward with our project, I want to say that we conducted interviews, we did research about other Indigenous representations on CSU campuses. We surveyed the campus about, what are current places of Indigenous spaces or representations. And once we knew that we wanted to move forward with what we call the Food Sovereignty Lab and Cultural Workshop Center, we submitted a space request for the former Hilltop Marketplace in the BSS building to the University Space and Facilities Advisory Committee. Now, the former Hilltop Marketplace used to be a store in the BSS where students could access food. So we thought that this location would be incredibly appropriate to build this lab, this center, to be a hub for everything around food. Hopefully in the future become a future distribution site for all students, similar to how OSNAP operates. We envision it having a commercial kitchen. We just envision it to be something really, really incredibly moving on our campus. And so we submitted a space request. We moved forward with holding a public stakeholders a public stakeholders meeting about what this is going to look like. And in the spring, 2 research assistants were hired to continue work on the project, identify funding, apply for grants to remodel this space, the former Hilltop Marketplace, and develop the center. And so I'm here today because this week, we learned that our request was denied by the committee in a very casual email from the committee. And we were told the following: the committee has considered the former Hilltop Marketplace for a function that will serve as a general student space that may be accessed by all. And we don't know what this means, but if they're thinking that the Hilltop Marketplace would be better suited as a lounge, there's like a lounge on every floor of the BSS, or you could build a lounge in any part of campus. But this space is incredibly appropriate as it's connected to the Gugini Gallery, the Native Forum, and the NAS department. And so we want to emphasize that the Food Sovereignty Lab was designed by students for students that can be accessed by all, and not only diverse students, but also the surrounding communities in Humboldt County, tribal nations, national and international scholars, and community leaders. And the space would only build excitement and true connection, which can only serve to impact our recruitment, our retention, and our enrollment at HSU. So I'm asking for a letter of support. And I guess you could send them directly to me, but pretty much just saying that you're a student at HSU and that you think that this, why was the space request denied, and that you support a food sovereignty lab in this space, the former Hilltop Marketplace. I don't know if there's time for questions, or I haven't been reading the chat, sorry.
Yeah, those will be done in general discussion.
Okay.
If you could put maybe your email in the chat for people to send the letters to, that'd be really, really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was really good. Do we have any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to our board reports, which all should have been submitted written. And if anyone wants to add a quick tidbit to their report, you could raise your hand as well. This is for board members. Amal would like to add something.
I mean, I already had this on, but it's also an urgent thing, which is like if you go outside, make sure you wear masks. It's kind of a Humboldt Department of Health type mandate.
Good to make sure everyone is doing that. Thank you. All right, now that those have been done, we're up for general discussion. All right, so if anyone wants to respond to someone's written board report, they can. Also, if you want to talk about either Justin or Amanda's things real quick, we have a little bit of time set for this because we do have a pretty packed agenda. All right, Amal would like to make or start some discussion, unless that's the same hand raise from before.
Yeah, no, this is me wanting to respond. In terms of the food sovereignty lab, I haven't heard of this before. Like, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I just wanted to clarify that. And I had a question in mind, which is a food sovereignty lab going to show Native American food or certain cultural food? I don't mind another OSNAP on campus. I think that would be a good way. I just hope that there's a distinction for it from OSNAP. And then as well as that, in terms of Justin's comment, I do agree that AS shouldn't have an increased funding while everyone has their funding cut. However, there was some explanation that I'll let someone else cover because I don't agree with it.
I could
Thank
answer
you.
your question, Amal. What the lab is going to be envisioned as far, we're just at a standstill in our project because we're trying to apply for funding to remodel the space and fund a program that would be some kind of food distribution or have some programming around cooking traditional foods for maybe it's indigenous traditional foods, but also any other kind of food. And we want it to be really informed by students and for students. So that's pretty much the overarching goal. And I think it really aligns with AS and all of the problems that we're kind of facing now as a society and as an institution. So thank you for your comment. If anyone else has comments, I'm happy to answer.
All right, we have Bree, the SAVP.
Yeah, I was going to respond to Amanda's comment also, and I think that's probably what like Liz and Janelle are going to respond to as well. I know that in terms of like when we were going through GI 2025 funding, there was conversation about getting like a food truck on campus, and administration was I think it was admissions was looking at it, and then they were looking at like having AS become a stakeholder in that conversation. It's not cemented in there at all, or like we don't have any definite plans or something, but it is like that is a conversation that was out there. And so maybe that's a conversation that perhaps Liz or Janessa or myself can maybe get together and just give you more information or any kind of help that way. But just for sake of time, I'll go ahead and yield back to the chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Liz, I'm going to get to you. I saw that Janessa said hand raised because she can't actually raise her hand. So Janessa.
Could I have Liz go first because she might be saying what I want to say?
Oh, perfect. Then President Cano Sanchez.
Awesome. So just going to add more to that background, which was this proposal is being worked, well, it was a GI 2025 proposal submitted by admissions, and so that food truck would basically be for all of our events that would be happening. Not all of our events, but for example, they have spring preview. Admission takes care of those spring previews, and they wanted to be able to see this food truck, and this food truck would be able to be rented out by students. And so if they were to receive the GI 2025 monies, which we still have to check back in with that department and see how that conversation's going. But yeah, there is something similar of that sort. So I don't know if this might conflict with maybe this was one of the reasons or something, but it's definitely a conversation that we should open back up. And thank you so much for your public comment truly appreciate it. And I think this the Food Sovereignty Lab is such a great idea.
Thank you, Liz. We have a comment from Amanda from ERC.
Yeah, sorry, different Amanda. Also just wanted to voice support for the Food Sovereignty Lab and comment that I see a lot of potential for it in a very interdisciplinary way. For example, in the range and soil science and forestry departments, we've been talking about how we can involve local land managers, tribal land managers in the Food Sovereignty Lab, and how they can come and provide traditional ecological knowledge and indigenous science. And it's a really great opportunity for all of the departments on campus, not only as a way for students to get connected with their culture and heritage and to provide foods for students, but also to increase everyone's awareness on campus and use it as a learning opportunity. So.
All right, thank you so much. And now we have Amanda from RAP.
Thanks so much, Amanda. I'll make it brief. To answer Liz's and the questions about the food truck, the biggest difference that I'm noticing right now is the lab is really going to be centered for academics and pulling in those academic resources and linking with the different departments across campus and making it a really interdisciplinary research opportunity, and also professional development for students. As many of our programs are being cut, this program would essentially look for funding to fund student positions and research positions to do work around food and traditional ecological knowledge and all that stuff. And then also support some events in conjunction with the food truck, which is going to be so cool when we get that. So thank you so much for everyone's really thoughtful input.
Thank you so much, everyone, for a lively and very positive discussion. Thank you for making my job easy right now. I'm not seeing any more hands raised. So we're gonna move on to our old business. So budgets, we're back to budgets. So the 2021 recommended budget appeals, this is our third iteration or fourth iteration, but we have 6 appeals to go through today. We, in the sake of time, are gonna be doing 5 minutes altogether for the appeals. So if you get through your presentations and we'll get as many questions in as we can, that'd be really helpful. So our first appeal is coming from the ERC. There we go.
Hey, Amanda, Lex, Max, Blue, now's your time.
Someone.
Okay, sorry. That took a second. Yeah, so we're presenting not on both, so we saw the budget that was sent out on Wednesday, and the recommended budget from AS was 18,000, and then we saw that the approved budget was 0. So we have a couple questions and a couple comments. One of the questions that we had from the start, though, was also one of the items in the email that summarized that meeting from last week was talk about starting like a gender and sexuality center in the student union. And we were just wondering what the plans for that are, if there are any plans.
Are you posing that to the whole board?
Yes, if anybody knows anything.
We get, we have Bree. Bree, can you chime in?
I'm gonna actually yield to Lisbeth.
Okay, cool. Cano Sanchez, president, sorry.
Hi, everyone. So the conversation with space has definitely been a fast, rapid growing one. And so we've been trying to have those conversations and be transparent with you all through the Funded Programs Committee. So please, everyone, make sure that you're attending those. We have a few more scheduled. So with that, we do have that planned. We have it envisioned at least. It's in the very beginning stages. So this is still something that we're talking about with everyone, with all stakeholders, with all students. It's still in that early stage, but we do have the opportunity of relocating over to the bottom of Nelson Hall East. And with that, we would like to see a center for gender and sexuality there. And that is where ERC and WRC and would be able to live in, and it would be kind of like an area for the clubs to be in and for you all to move in from the space that you are in. And I know that we are in this weird stage where we're not we don't have funded programs, and how is club and paying going to look like. So I definitely want to just say it again, this is in the early stages, and that's why we need all of your input when when that meeting is set up, to let us know how you feel about that, what you think about that. But yes, that is a plan in the books, and we hope that we can secure that space and then see how everything else will play out. But please be a part of these conversations. We definitely need your input. And thank you so much for asking. I hope that clarified it. Let me know if you need more clarification.
That clarifies a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited for those talks. From the sounds of it, as we've been talking just amongst the ERC and amongst the people who utilize the ERC, there's a lot of interest in that. But if we could just go back to the slides real quick. We did want to comment that as much as we're in favor of all that from happening, it seems like establishing a gender and sexuality center in Nelson Hall East would happen over more than a course of a year, or it's something that would take a little bit of time. And for that reason, we think that just all the, suddenly cutting off our budget from $18,000 to $0 isn't really maybe the best way to go about it, because we still need to serve students during the course of this school year. For example, in 2012, we were called one of the top LGBT friendly universities, and we still have this on our website, but right now I think we're at number 53, according to Campus Pride. And that's a problem for enrollment. I know a lot of students are looking at those numbers, thinking about what school they want to go to, and they're considering that. So if we could just go to the next slide. It's also an issue of retention and making sure that graduation rates are still up there. If ERC doesn't have a budget for this upcoming school year, our ranking for for student life, it's already 3.5 out of 5 stars on student life, and that means maybe we have budget for these activities, but we don't have a budget for the staff who will run them, and that's a problem. So that means that we're taking off LGBT social activities, educational events, and that's a bit of an issue. So I just ask that we consider that these resources are really important to not only providing support to students on campus and making sure that we're taking care of the mental and emotional well-being of our students and physical well-being of our students, but also these resources are important to our enrollment and our retention. Yeah, and so as we move forward, go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm really excited about what you just mentioned, Elizabeth. That's really great. But I think it's important that we hash out the details for what happens this upcoming year. it would be pretty rough if we just didn't have any resources this year and then kind of expected to kind of pop up the year after or the year after that, because we have all these human resources that we're not utilizing, and we don't want to lose that momentum. And so that's all that, yeah, go ahead if anyone else from ERC has something to say.
Oh no, you're out of time. I added an extra minute for clarity, because we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but we are trying to keep it like very time certain with our times. So that was 6 minutes. So I'm sorry. If we have time left, we can definitely, well, we won't have any time left, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna give everyone else 6 minutes as well, if that's okay with everyone. So sorry to have to cut you off like that.
Oh, no worries. Sorry.
Yeah, there will be more time in our next item. So next up is the Women's Resource Center.
Yes, my name is Dima. My pronouns are she and they. So we're in a similar boat as ERC. So all our all our money for wages was removed, and just like ERC, we put on really big events. I love y'all, by the way. Y'all are great, ERC. And thank you. We do a lot of work when we're planning out events. We're already getting paid very limited amounts, and taking that amount and making it from zero would take away the ability of students to make these events happen, because a lot of students, to be able to go to school, to be able to be a part of different activities and centers on campus, they need at least some bit of a wage. And no matter what, like, we're not making a living wage, but we're trying to make it as much as we could. And when you take that number and you make it zero, it's not at all possible. Like, I would have never worked at the WRC. I would have never put in all the work I did and do if I wasn't able to get paid. This is my last semester at HSU and my last semester working for the WRC, and I've been working there for 2 years. So like, let's recognize like how important the events are. Our events have also been becoming more popular. So Kink on Campus, we had more people show up to the last Kink on Campus than people showed up in the last 2 years. That was my third Kink on Campus, and that was the most people that had showed up, but we didn't even have enough money for food. Also, the amount of work that was put into that event, people were not getting compensated for all the hours. And we were already asking for more in wage because we're working so much, and now the number was taken away. And also, for the menstrual gear project, which we work really hard to do, and we put in so much effort, we get volunteers for it, we put in a lot of energy, and currently, along with help of the rest of my staff, and from AS, we partnered with Period. But if we weren't working, if we weren't putting in that effort, communicating with Period, we wouldn't be able to provide these products for students. Currently, we have cups, pads, tampons, and like putting those products together. And when we were putting them in the restrooms, that took up a lot of time. Also, just like doing runs, just the activities that are seen as like small things, they take up a lot of time and effort and funds, and people need the funds. So I'm just trying to illustrate how important we are to campus. And the menstrual gear project, every time I do runs, every time like I get into a conversation with someone, because I took like a lot of effort into the menstrual gear project, I got into a lot of conversations with people. Also, people were always super excited for us to be putting products in restrooms. We were also expanding to put more products in men's restrooms. Like the library was doing a restroom, I believe, and like we were always trying to do the gender neutral restrooms and any like restrooms that we were able to. So I really want to emphasize this. And yeah, and also I just want to point out some amazing people on campus that have worked for the WRC in the past, like Mary Sue Savage from Check It and Raven Craig, I believe, worked for the WRC, who's a part of OSNAP, and then Karina Wells is a professor, and someone else that like comes to campus a lot, Ariel, like they all worked for the WRC in the past, and that shows like the emphasis of like how much it builds up your character and how important it is to the community and to students, and also that we deserve at least like some bit of a wage like we currently do.
All right, we have about 2.5 minutes for questions if anyone has any.
What's up?
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you so much for presenting as well.
Yeah. And shout out to what Amanda said earlier. Thank you for mentioning that from RAP, mentioning like about the food sovereignty lab. Y'all are doing great work.
We have a question from Amal.
Hopefully this isn't a too much information question, but what kind of products are you planning to put in the men's restroom for the Women's Resource Center?
So all people, many people menstruate, you know, people that don't identify as females, they menstruate, they still need availability for these products. So in the men's restroom, like the female restrooms, and then on the gender non-conforming restrooms, just pads and tampons. And then if people need cups, they come to us. And anyone is welcome, whatever, like, however their gender identification is.
Awesome. Thank you again. It doesn't look like we have any more questions at the time. So we're going to move on to RAP.
Hello, everyone. Now I put my RAP cap on and I'm RAP. So yeah, this whole budget scenario is really, it's unfortunate what's coming from the top down. I know it's not coming from anybody personally. And whenever we talk numbers, it's always just a little bit uncomfortable. Because some programs are getting funded more than others, and it's how do you advocate for one program over the other when they're all integral to our community? So I'm not here to ask for more money. I'm just asking for a change in line items. We're funded $25,000 for student wages and $3,500 for supplies, and we weren't funded for any events, which was interesting because we do some big ones. Especially with our on-campus residents. So I'm just appealing to the board today to move the line item from supplies and services to make those numbers on the screen there. And that's the appeal.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments? Doesn't, oh, got one. Vice President Rueda.
Yeah, Amanda, I was just gonna ask, like, point of clarification. Are you advocating that we like lower what you were saying about the supplies and that stuff and move it over to the events, correct?
Oh, no, I was just saying that we shifted a little bit to student wages. So it's still the same amount. I just realized Janessa messaged me and says there's no events listed in your request. And I guess that's because our events are encompassed in our supplies and services budget, where we host events, Donation Dash every spring, Fall Welcome, and we teach students essentially how to recycle when they live here. Events like that, they weren't encompassed in our budget request, I suppose.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
And we have a hand raised from Executive Director Lund.
So yeah, I just pointed that out. I tried to do it just privately, Amanda, but that was one of the reasons that we were asking for people to break out their events this year is because that's what we went through every single application and pulled those out, knowing that those are important to students. And then later on, we're going to look at like, how do we provide like financial compensation for student leaders who take on projects. So there is going to be a financial compensation piece to it. It's just we don't have enough time right now to work it out. We just need to get a bottom line, and then we can work within that. So yeah, just to clarify the difference in the application this year.
Thank you for the clarification. And I'm still confident that RAP can host the events that we do with this considerably downsized budget. At this point, I'm just grateful that we were funded, and I'd like to maybe just get more transparency about how each program is weighted essentially, and the AS government budget, how it's weighted. But yes, thank you all for everything.
Any more last minute thoughts? We have some time. Seeing none. We're gonna move on to CCAT. Okay.
Hello. Yes, my name is Justin Hawkins. I believe I'm here with Michael Perez, our external branch co-director as well. Hey, Michael.
Yes.
I am, yes, I am the budget administrator. I had a spiel about the several $1,000s we lost impacting our 4 credit student taught classes, but I have a bit of a diatribe, and I'm going to take my soapbox right now. The difference between the April 10th recommended budget and the April 17th recommended budget went up a total of $14,000. And that's including the $10,000 increase in the AS government. And it's just tragic, honestly, to see these massive cuts to the ERC and the Women's Resource Center. Like, I'm a male-bodied person. I identify that way, but that doesn't mean that I don't, like, empathize and really appreciate the services that are provided at these services. And I just feel like their appeals were felt just on deaf ears, and I didn't hear any compassion or even like addressment or like justification for why they were cut so much. I think the only thing keeping me going right now is just the fact that the AS Club grants has been increased substantially, and I'm hoping that that will have money available for the ERC and Women's Resource Center. But it's really troubling when I see going on, like, and it frankly, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how does the budget increase $14,000 and it's going directly into the AS government in between these recommended budgets, and yet all of us are getting cut? It just seems a little odd. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I frankly, it feels in bad taste for me to ask for more money. I guess that's all I have to say.
Hello.
Yeah.
We do hope that there was a response to that, but I know we haven't a lot of time, so I'd like to just note that we had budgeted a plan around what was given to us in the 3rd appeal, I believe. It was the April 17th budget that allotted us $43,000, and we had created a plan around it was the 10th, I'm sorry, the $43,000. And with that, we were allowed to have a certain amount of teachers, and these teachers are students who are teaching other students, and those courses are integrated into majors, and a major and a minor. And it's a powerful, impacting experience for both students and teachers. That's the service we provide. And with the increase, so we were cut down to about $41,000, and the $2,000 would be directly go to funding teachers. It would, there was a direct need for that $2,000, and it would affect us greatly and allow us to have another teacher. So we aren't asking for more money. We're asking for what was budgeted on the April 10th. And so if we can be reinstated back to that amount, that would be extremely, extremely helpful and would allow us to have a smoother transition in the times that our budget cuts.
Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I would add there is that our ENST classes are already partially funded by a separate fund, which is the IRA account, and we can only draw money from that for supplies and services, and so we're dependent on our AS budget to pay student teachers.
So,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael and Justin. We're going to take questions. I want to pitch in a little bit just to answer Justin, because I understand your frustration and your inquisitiveness about this. So the government fund went up basically to help, at least in part, with our committee compensation package that we've been working on. We're not sure if we're going to be getting help from the administration again like we did for this semester. So we wanted to make sure we have that, because we think getting people into these committees, not just, you know, AS, but hopefully one day into getting people compensated, students specifically, for every committee that is hosted on campus, including like Senate meetings, not Senate meetings, but Senate committees, administrative committees, stuff like that. That's where that came in, and that's like 100% what it is. It's just us trying to make sure that people who are serving our school and our AS as members of committees are being compensated for their time. The general operations, that's more just like Janessa, Kendra, Casey, they're the people that are helping you out all the time. They're the people, like anything from people answering the Rose phone, it's that kind of stuff. They're the people that are making sure not just AS as a government, but everything that we have as a program or our funding are getting the support that they need. And that's why I don't want to say, because I wasn't the one that made this new budget, but I also voted on it. I just want to say that, I just took all the time, but I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate you attempting to address my concerns. Thank you.
Yeah, but we will have some time after everyone's appeals to go through this. So next up, forgot where we were. We have rec sports. Oh, they have a written statement, which I'm guessing I should read because I'm the chair. So I will do so, unless that is not what's supposed to be happening.
I could offer to read just to give you a moment.
No, I'm caffeinated. My iced coffee's completely drained, so I got the energy.
Take it away then.
Move the chat and the participants out of the way. So this is from the Director of Recreational Sports, Jan Henry. Thank you for your hard work on this budget. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. With that said, I am concerned about the sport club allocation, as it does not provide for our athletic trainer, $7,000, and we cannot host games without this position. I highlighted this position as the most important in the budget, and the club team dues, $7,000, as least important. I'm hoping that you can simply move the $7,000 to an employee position so that we can have our athletic trainer services for our AHSU sport club athletes. Unless there is more money to give us, we will have to have the students contribute to the league dues portion of the program. Unfortunately, I'm not available during your Friday meetings, so please accept this memo as our appeal. And thank you in advance for your time and consideration. I don't know how to ask for questions about this because there's no one to answer them. But if there are any comments that people want to make, please do so. We have Representative Amora.
I just want to say that it's important to be able to switch money from different accounts as needed, because our goal in funding is that no money goes to waste. And so in this case, I would advocate to switch the money from the employee position to the athletic trainer. Similarly with the ROP thing, I think being able to flexibly move money into different accounts, regardless of categorization, is important for funding. Thank you.
Oh, Molly's able to answer. Sorry, there's so many different windows open right now. If you would like to pitch in on anything, like, please do.
I don't have anything to add, but I mean, beyond the fact that $7,000 for an athletic trainer is really reasonable, I think they collaborate with athletics, and it's one of the mandates for our competitive sports leagues and the rec division to be able to compete is to have that athletic trainer available.
All right, thank you, Molly. Not seeing any blue hands up in the air. So we're going to move on to our last appeal, which is yes.
Janessa's hand is raised in the chat.
Oh, come on, Janessa. Just stop being a host.
Sorry, it was just a quick, does anybody know if there's opportunity now that club sports is under athletics? Is there any opportunity to use, I understand that multiple intercollegiate teams have trainers. Can there be a shared agreement between those? Just wondering.
I think I actually can't speak to this fully, only from a brief understanding of this. I think that's the reason why we're only paying $7,000 is because we already have that collaboration. Normally athletic trainers are, can be pretty expensive. So I think because we already have them working with the athletics department, they're able to get the trainer at that cost. But I cannot say that with certainty. That is just from conversations I've had.
Does that answer your question? I mean, at least give an answer. Janessa, we good? She's muted. So we're gonna go to yes now.
Wait, what are
we yes here to?
Yeah, hi, are Malia or Liz or a student representative here? An appeal was requested.
I believe they emailed, I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I'm sorry, Will.
You're good.
I believe they emailed during the week, and Janessa, correct me if I'm wrong, because she was on the email as well, that they were good with where they were. So I think that's why they're not here.
Oh.
I could be wrong, but I saw an email correspondence this week. So Janessa was on that, and maybe she can speak to it. I could be, there's a lot of different committees with budgets and cuts and up and down. So
who was it from, Ebony?
Yeah, Molly has a hand raised.
So I think this was specifically about the budget for their retreat and having flexibility with that money. I don't think they were appealing for the amount of money. I think it was more flexibility around how that money was going to be utilized.
And that's correct. That is what was in the email. They were basically saying they're not asking for more money. They were just asking for flexibility, flexibility on spending the funds that is already allocated from AS. That is correct.
Okay. Janessa, you were going to say something?
No, when Molly said that, that triggered my memory because it didn't hit it because line item transfers can change at any time. You know, that's not dependent on tonight. So I wasn't as worried about that because they weren't asking for more.
Oh, well, that makes all of this way easier. And we have more time for our next item, if everyone's cool with us moving on. 3, 2, 1. No, we're moving on. We're doing it. So our next item is the 2020-2021 recommended budget adjustments. Here we are. The AS Board of Directors shall interview programs. We did that. Basically, oh geez. Are you taking line by line? I'm sorry, what do you mean, Casey?
Sorry, yeah. To bring the whole group in, I was messaging to Will that it would be potentially beneficial to take the suggested budget line by line, and not certain if you'd like to start from the bottom or the top. Really just kind of depends on how you want to lead it through. But I think we would benefit from having an intentional discussion as we have a little extra time in each line.
Yeah, we have just about 20 minutes. And that totally makes sense now, what you said. So let's do it. Ebony, you have a hand raised?
Yes, it would help if I could find my unmute button as well. I think I agree with Casey's comment about having an intentional discussion. And I think it's also important to reiterate, I have heard a lot tonight about students not understanding why these proposals were put forward. And so I think it'll help provide some HSU leadership perspective, and I won't take super long as you all have this conversation. And so one of the things is that we have been talking about as an institution, our budget's getting cut over the next 2 to 3 years projected by our vice presidents. And so AS is a part of that. And so I just ask that students understand that AS is in a tough position and that none of the decisions that you all are putting forth are made lightly. And that a lot of the decisions, it's not necessarily that that groups are being cut 100%. As someone mentioned earlier, the grant allocation has immensely increased. It's just re-looking at how you all divvy out the funds, because the reality is everybody has to take a cut, including departments, including students, including AS. And so I want, as we're having this conversation, for everyone to think about how tough it is for AS students. These are students making these decisions to the best of their ability with literally they can only do so much with what they have. And so I encourage you all to think about and keep in mind how you got here and where you can literally afford to increase. And then we just reimagine how students spend funds. It doesn't mean you can't do your programming. It just means you go about it in a different way to obtain the funding. So I just wanted to set that context up, because it's not just AS making cuts and doing this very difficult work. It's the institution as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amal has her hand raised. If we could just make it real quick so we can start this line item fun. Let's go.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, but yes, go for it. What are we doing?
I move to cancel the compensation package for the committees from the AS General Operations budget.
So technically, since this is an action item, the first motion should be a main motion, I believe, which would be either an approve or deny or table. But we're gonna make this like real, like how it is by the parliamentary procedure book. After that, we can start discussion and start adding amendments. So if we could get that motion first, we can start kind of going through all this. Yeah, Representative Amora.
I guess I'd say I disapprove for the AS Government and External Affairs and SSL and Scholarships and Matrix budget for 2021.
Okay, great. Is that some sort of motion, or is that just an opinion?
I think that's the main motion.
It is not.
Because it's I approve, but what if you don't approve?
Then you object. You say you do not want it to pass as is.
Sorry, I don't want the committee compensation program under the AS government budget to pass.
Right. I understand what you're saying, but the way that Sturgis procedure says is that we go through a process where we start with a motion like that, so we can say, I motion to not approve it. And then from there, we get a second, and then we can start discussion before we vote. We can add amendments throughout that process. That's how it should have been done. Does that make sense?
That's what I'm saying.
Right, but you need to say, I move that. It's
okay. I move to not pass the committee compensation program for the AS government budget.
Great, can I get a second?
We just need a second to have discussion, correct?
Yes.
Second.
Cool. let's move. Let's talk about this.
The motion could have died on the table too. I'm just saying too.
Right. I know. Yeah. Thank you, Pao. Thank you so much. Oh, Jeremiah's joined. So first, Bree had her hand raised, and then Legislative Vice President Finley will join in afterwards.
Yeah, so I guess kind of going off what Representative Amora is kind of putting out there, and in response to hearing, the ERC out and taking a look at different budgets out there, I don't necessarily feel comfortable scraping the entire committee compensation package, because I do think that it's something that could be very, very valuable for a lot of students in need. I do think, however, that perhaps we can re-envision the way that we do see it. And I was going to propose this, like with Casey or Janessa, if you could add on perhaps after this, perhaps looking at it, as a stipend instead of the 3 different things as it is right now. That way we can cut costs and, provide funding to different areas. I wasn't going to throw it out there as a motion, but I just wanted to bring it up as a discussion point and something that I was going over and that I thought could be a little bit impactful. And I yield back to the chair.
All right, thank you. Legislative Vice President Finley has disappeared. Oh,
hey, Will. So, I kind of want to echo kind of what SAVP Rueda said, in regards to making sure that I think that we're already going in this with the understanding, the mindset that, we're not going to have enough resources, as Dr. Turnbull kind of expressed to us all. I think we need to really make sure that places where we can provide support, and I think this committee compensation is really one of them, that we do provide that support to students to be able to engage students in that way. And so people feel like they're a part of the conversation in regards to what's going on in our committees, and how it ultimately comes full circle again back to this process that we have right now. So I would say that it's super important to just make sure that that will go forth. So yeah, I'll yield.
Thank you for that. Representative Amora has something to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain about how money is power. And so if you put all your money in one area more than all the other areas, you're creating that as a power centerhold. So AS already holds a lot of power, and paying our students who are in committees is adding more to that power, the financial power, while we're depleting students. And I believe that Associated Student Body as a whole doesn't have to fund everyone. We don't even pay everyone on the board of directors. So why should we be paying everyone on the committees, or like the majority? So my point is that the money could be better distributed to the students for programming, for retention, for advertising than AS. So we don't have a center hold with too much money, too much power, depleting our student resources.
Thank you. I don't want to skip bogged down. We got Public Relations Officer Cadillo. What do you got?
I just wanted to mention, I don't understand how we're depleting students of resources when that's what the committee compensation program is giving. It's giving not only stipends, but it's giving C points and J points to students. Just because we may be funding a little bit less some other programs, that doesn't mean that the money that AS is putting into themselves isn't going back into the student body.
All right, so we do have a motion. I think we've gotten a good amount of discussion on it. So let's get a vote on this motion. The motion is to not approve the committee compensation program in the AS government. All in favor, use the green button. All opposed, use the red button. And then anyone who is abstaining, use the blue hand raise like this. Ooh. Amanda from ERC, to clarify, I don't know if you're attempting to vote. You can't.
No, sorry, that was an accident.
Okay.
My bad.
Cool. No problem. I see your hand raised though. I don't. Is it about this exact thing? Oh.
No, you can withdraw that.
Sorry.
Fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the motion did not pass. I believe from the stuff, right, Casey?
I'm gonna need to actually call for, I'm gonna do a verbal call on this one. I didn't see all members vote abstain in any way.
Right.
So we're gonna do a roll call vote for this. So if I could just get a yay or a nay when I call your name, please. President Cano Sanchez?
Nay.
Vice President Finley?
Nay.
Vice President Rueda?
Nay.
Officer Smith?
Nay.
Graduate student Huang?
Nay.
Will, you're vice chair right now. Representative Omora?
Yay.
Representative Lamar?
Nay.
Representative Follett?
Nay.
Representative Gutierrez?
Nay.
Thank you. The motion fails.
Okay. So I will ask again, can we get a main motion on the whole budget, hopefully, and then move from there into the line items? And then we can have the discussion part after that.
Can I make an
Jeremiah?
amendment? Well, like
Oh,
recommend
sorry. Yeah, Pal.
at this time? Okay. I would like to recommend an amendment of, where is AS general operation? Which one is it? Special events. Do you know where it is? I can't see it. Casey, do you know?
Which one is it, Pal?
It's AS special events.
Is it like AS collabs? Like what's the intent of the funding?
It's like $3,000 for special events. So it's like the one that gets allocated to the board members.
Okay.
Oh, it's a part of the operations, right? Or no, that would probably
If
be
you're
part of-
talking about the government special projects fund, that's within the AS government and external affairs line item here.
Yes. So AS government and external affairs. So I would like to switch some money in there.
Can I clarify? Actually, that $5,200 is listed in the AS collabs.
Is that what, I think we're getting bogged down by not thinking of the same thing right now. How, are you talking about the money that is given to board members for their, like, all the stuff that we do?
Yeah.
Like, kind of this not discretionary, but meetings and stuff that we do like that.
It's for like college mixers. And
Yeah, that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, so that's $5,200 currently in the 45.5 of AS collabs.
Okay, so it was moved there. Okay, and what was your recommendation for moving it?
I wanted to move $1,000 from that section to be added to CSSA / chess trip, and I would recommend that because students are already like gaining money, like they're getting that amount of money to make a mixer, and I feel like it's a lot of an impact to go to a CSSA meeting, and the way that I planned this was I would send we would send 2 CSSA members when it comes to driving. So it would be a cheaper registration, and that would just increase the chances of having someone going to CSSA. And then just CSSA meetings are really important and impactful as a whole. And you can say that with all the members that went to chess and came back like just shocked with how much we need more members going and attending. So that's why I want to include that general operations or special events section, but I just can't seem to locate it because it's under the AS Government and External Affairs.
Could I share my screen for just a second and kind of show you behind the scenes where these numbers came from?
Yes.
Would that help? Okay, so
oh, sorry, one sec right before that. This is not a motion because Pal can't do those, but she's recommending that someone move that for her.
Yeah, but
just to clarify what you typed in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's just like kind of like Janessa showing what my action would be.
Yeah.
Is that possible to do?
Fine.
Like a possible?
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So this is when this was emailed most recently, column B through O were collapsed. So this is just if you unfolded that spreadsheet, this is what's in there. So that first one of AS Government and External Affairs combined this year with the Student Legal Lounge, there's the committee compensation here, board stipends, here are supplies. This is the CSSA piece, which used to live on its own as its own program. It was recommended to envelop that into government this year. So, so what POW is wanting to do is on this same sheet, right here under AS Collabs, which is another, what you guys were looking at on that sheet. So AS Collabs encompasses all these, and board projects is right here. So POW is suggesting reducing this to 4,200 and increasing this to 17,900.
Great.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Great.
So I'm
Vice
just
President
asking
Finley?
for 17,000.
Okay. Vice President Finley has had their hand raised for a while. Go for it.
Okay, well, so okay, so I'm getting here a little bit later than I usually would. So Powell's suggesting that we should move this around. Does that interfere or drive up or down the ultimate total of the entire board? Has the total moved up at all or down at all? Okay, as long as I believe that as long as we make sure that we try to maintain this type of this number down there that's in blue for us, I think that's really important, so that way we position future leaders to be able to best make change. I think I would support a reasoning or need behind making sure that our chess students and students who want to attend chess are able to. I don't know how that's going to play out with how chess is going to look like for next year, just because of what this board has been talking about. I would be in support of that happening if that's something that someone wanted to motion.
You can motion it now.
Yeah, I could motion. Well, I motion to take on the elections. The external affairs recommendation to move $1,000 from board projects to chess and CSSA funds.
Can I get a second?
Second, Conla Sanchez.
We've kind of already discussed it, but if anyone wants to pitch in, Liz, I don't know if your hand raise is for that purpose.
Yeah, it was just to speak in support of it. I think that Paul made a very good point about it and wanting to have board members be a part of this and be a part of CSSA. And I think that is a big goal of Paul's. And I definitely being one of the chess representatives, I think that was huge. And having this experience was so great. And I think a lot of board members can benefit from that. So even that small change in line items would be so beneficial. So yeah, that was just it.
Cool. I'm not seeing any more hands raised during that, so let's vote on it. Please use your things that your buttons. Those in favor, use the green yes button. Those opposed, use the red X button. And those who are abstaining, please raise your hand. Oh. Some people are not doing it still. So, Casey, do you want to do a roll call again? Because
Yep, let's do it. And we'll just have it be a practice so that we can keep this moving along.
Yeah.
So Cano Sanchez? A
Yay.
yay or a nay? I heard a yay and I saw your yay, so thank you. Jeremiah?
Yay.
Vice President Rueda? Bree, are you with us?
Yes, sorry, I must have not unmuted myself. Yay.
Thank you. Officer Smith?
Yay.
Grad Rep Huang?
Yeah.
Representative Amora?
Abstain.
Thank you. Representative Lamar?
Yay.
Representative Follett?
Yay.
Representative Gutierrez?
Yay.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Woo! Thank you
got
so much, y'all.
all right, so we've done that. We're pushing the clock. Anything else we want to do with government, external affairs, scholarships, etc.?
In a similar situation, I'm unable to raise a hand, but I just want to draw everyone's attention into the calendar invite and just see all the different resources they have for this. So this shared folder has the original requests. So like what you saw with the rec sports request, in that shared folder, you'll see that programs in their requests identified what is most important and what could be let go of. Additionally, considering last week we left y'all with the draft AS forecast, and that kind of shows you what's actually been spent and what is forecasted to be spent in this fiscal year. And then this last one is just the executive order that kind of lets you know why we're on this timeline, because we have to get the budget to the university president for approval. So I just wanted to draw everyone's attention back to these other resources for extra consideration.
Thank you, Casey. So no one's really raised their hands. Let's go to AS Gen Ops. Not seeing anything. AS Presents. Looking good. Cool. AS Club Grants. This is asking for any changes, just for clarification. AS, we'll go on to AdPick. CCAT. We got 2 hands raised. So Student Affairs Vice President Rueda.
Yeah, I wanted to bring attention to what Amanda had said earlier in her appeal. And I'll be honest, I was a bit confused with the wording myself. And I think I had asked a question for clarification, but I still wasn't too clarified. But I would really appreciate it if another board member or even the chair could really clarify that comment for me, or like the appeal, because I think it was like a recommendation for us to kind of do something.
That was rap.
Oh, so sorry, CCAT.
Okay.
It happens.
We will get back to that. So Representative Amora.
Yeah, so I wanted to fulfill the request, which was to move the money back to how it was in April 10th. I'm trying to find the exact amount, but that's my motion.
It's on the screen. Does anyone wish to second that?
Sorry, if we could get actual motions laid
Right.
out, I think that
Sorry.
the intentionality and wording is important. So if we could get, like, the number is 43520, but if we could get the main motion fully stated, it would help us get into best practices.
Yeah, thank you. Amal, can you?
Yeah, I move to approve 43,520 for Campus Center appropriate technology for 2021 year.
Great. Can we get a second?
Second. Lamar. Second.
Thank you, Representative Lamar. Do we have any discussion on this, or do we want to go to a vote? Raise your hand if you want to talk about this a little bit. But please make it quick. I'm not seeing any raised hands, so we're gonna do the voting how it's usually done instead of all these numbers and stuff. I mean, not numbers, buttons. So it's the, what was it called? Shoot. General consent. So unless anyone oppose or is in opposition, this motion will pass. So if you are opposing or abstaining, please do so now.
So Will, just because I have an old brain, could we do the roll call voting just so it's super clear and recorded, because this is very touchy information and I saw some confusion before or not using it.
Yeah, okay. So Casey, are you okay doing that again?
Hey, President Cano Sanchez, the motion on the floor is 43,520 for CCAT, which is pushing them back to the recommended budget that was recommended on 4/10/20. Could I get an aye or a nay?
Aye.
Vice President Finley,
I abstain.
Vice President Rueda,
I abstain.
Officer Smith,
Aye.
was that an aye?
Yes.
Thank you. Grad Rep Huang,
Stand.
Representative Amora,
Aye.
Representative Lamar,
Abstain.
okay, Representative Follett,
Aye.
and Representative Gutierrez.
Aye.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 abstentions. So the motion does pass.
All right. So without further ado, Children's Center. If that's okay with everyone to move on to. Not seeing any hands raised for that. So, oop, things are going crazy. I'll pull it up here. Sorry. Clubs and programs, support at the clubs and activities office. Is everyone okay with that as it is? All right. Drop-in recreation swim program. Drop-in activities sports. Oh, Amal has her hand raised.
I just had a question. Is this about the athletic trainer funding instead of the employee funding?
That would be the sports club rec sports, I believe.
Okay, then never mind.
So we did drop-in activities, right? Yeah, we did. Okay. Eric Rofus, Multicultural Queer Resource Center. Amal has her hand raised.
Could I have the exact information again on how much money they were requesting?
It's on the screen right now.
I move to approve $1,000 for Eric Roth's Multicultural Queer Resource Center, in addition to the $18,000.
Okay, can we get a second?
I'm a little
Can
confused.
I get clarification, please? Amal, let me pull that form back up. So I'm looking at, you just, whoops, oh, that's a different form. So the previous form has ERC at 0.
Okay.
And so where ERC's funding is in the form that Casey just had up, and they have all of their events funded. And the plan is part of that, what is it called? The club grants is to parse out monetary support for student leaders who lead these projects or events. So if you see like the club grants, right? Those are all the events that you guys have already approved. And a number of them are from ERC because they had put those into their application. And so that's where we got those numbers. The numbers are also adjusted because the recommendation for next year is to utilize local expertise instead of paying for external experts to fly in or drive in, and then on top of that pay their speaker fee. The recommendation is to use local people. So in all of those events, if there was request for an external speaker, that was removed. And so what's remaining is like food for the event and supplies for some of the events as well.
Okay. I can make a motion.
You already did. So if I don't think anyone seconded it yet, so.
I mean, the motion was incorrect because it was based on my confusion.
Okay.
Doesn't that cancel it out? So can I make a new motion because the previous one was obviously incorrect?
All right. Yep.
I move to allocate $1,000 for Eric Rofus Multicultural Queer Center for 2021.
Can you clarify? That sounds like you're asking to only give them $1,000.
So are you reducing the events that are listed in the other list? You want to eliminate all of those and replace it with 1,000?
No, so Ebony just wrote, please be mindful of your total allocations. And you said that they needed some money, and when you put the box on your mouth, it was around $500. So if you can be more specific and let me know the amount that they are requesting, that would be great.
Okay, so let me see. I think Casey has that sheet back up. And so if you look at that column with AS Club Grants, and if you go through, let me see, ERC is like, oh gosh, does WRC or ERC do kink? I know ERC does the name change workshop. They do the Q talks. They do queer speed friending. I believe they also do the Safer Sexpo, the Trans Resources Expo, and is that it? Yeah, so those are all the events that ERC asked for. So are you wanting to limit that to 1,000 or add an additional 1,000? And to what?
Sorry. Okay, I was proposing to add to another 1,000, since it went to $0 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, can you phrase that as a motion?
Yeah, okay, so I moved to so Bree has a question. Where is this 1,000 coming from? The money can come from our reserves or unspent money which went into reserves. I know that Ebony said to be careful, but we do have money on reserves. Okay, so I moved to add $1,000 to the Eric Rofus Multicultural Queer Center budget for 2021.
Is there a second? Seeing none, the motion dies on the table. All right, Ebony, sorry, Dean Turbo, you'd like to say something?
Sure, Will. I think that I think if the AS Board of Directors, it's important to keep in mind, the reason Casey mentioned earlier these various documents is because we spent the last 2 or 3 meetings putting all this together. And so I encourage you, before you make a motion, make sure you understand where you're pulling something from and what you're asking something to go towards. Because when you add something somewhere, it takes it from somewhere else, which is fine, but identify in that motion what you're planning to do. Secondly, I personally do not think going line by line is the best idea, because the natural inclination is to, when you go line by line, is to increase. As Casey has mentioned, Cassie, excuse me, it's gonna end up putting you well over what you had already voted. So if you're fine going that far over, that's okay, but really understand that, to me, the system that we're currently using isn't going to be the best effective way for AS. And so really just, when you make a motion for increase, if you could really think about and put in that motion where it's going, the amount, and where it's coming from, because it has to be pulled from somewhere. And so that is very, very important. The last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to be quiet, is that I think there is a piece on the agenda later that's going to talk about AS programs. And I think we have to start thinking about these groups not as what they used to be, but where we're going. And so if you all have dumped $60,000+ or wherever it was, because I can't find it off the top of my head right now, into this grant bucket for students to use. Again, I want to stress, it's not that they don't have money. It's just that it's reshaping how they have access to the money. And so just really think about those things as you all are making these decisions. And I know I said that earlier, but the reality is, I'm gonna be very frank, you cannot give you can't give thousands and thousands of dollars to every single group or you will go bankrupt. You literally cannot do that. So I think so many things are important, but we have to start thinking more collaboratively versus my money, and our money, and working together. I'm off my soapbox.
Thank you so much for saying all that. We are starting to get dangerously over time. So Vice President Finley.
Hey, so thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Turnbull, for that. I thank everyone for their contributions to creating this this item and really discussing it over. I think it's been a great discussion so far in order to really, I think we really understand now the gravity, I would hope, of this whole situation that we're in, because it's not fun. Nobody wants to be sitting here making decisions like this. I don't enjoy this at all. It's just not a fun situation to be in. With that said, I know I want to take us back to the $700,000. You know, we had that 700 number there as our target. We then as a board together collectively approved 717, which was $17,000 over which we had over our target. And now we're recommending that we go to 719. This is not sustainable for any organization. You know, I'll if I can motion to take us back to the 717 with all of those previously allocated amounts in there, I think that is the best option for us to go down. I know that there are some folks out there who don't want to necessarily hear what I have to say, but you know, it needs to be said that we can't continue to do this, because then our student voice will be it will be less valued and will overall deteriorate it as future boards come along. So I think we need to make sure that we can be prudent, wise when it comes to our fiduciary responsibilities. That being said, I think I did motion to take us back to the 717 with all of the other allocations amounts that were previously recommended in there. So yeah.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
I have my hand raised, Will, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's not, because we're looking for a second right now. Unless it's
I
that.
just need clarification on something.
Okay. What is the clarification?
Just to see if if this motion would then switch. I think I just answered my own question, but it wouldn't switch the line item that we moved on earlier for external affairs, right?
No, because that's keeping us at the same budget level.
Thank you. I second the motion.
The motion seconded. For the sake of time, can we vote on this now? We'll do a roll call vote. I have to, if Casey, you can do that, I need to yell at my roommates real quick because they're being very loud. But I'll just be muted. Is that okay?
Yes, so the motion on the floor is to get back to the pinker column, the approved 417.20, back to this 717.152. So if you could say an aye or a nay on moving back to that 717 bottom line. President Cano Sanchez?
Yay.
Vice President Finley?
Aye.
Vice President Rueda?
Aye.
Officer Smith?
Aye.
Grad Student Huang?
Aye.
Representative Amora?
Nay.
Representative Lamar?
Aye.
Representative Follett?
Aye.
Representative Gutierrez?
Aye.
So we have 8 ayes and 1 nay. So the motion to return to the 717.152 has passed.
So that doesn't really cover the fact that we need to pass this as well. Hand raised by Janessa. Let's pitch it in.
Thank you. Permission to share my screen.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, really, Will?
No. It removes. I moved my participants in chat and it disappears every time that the
I know.
screen goes
I know.
away.
I'm just giving you a hard time because I can.
Okay.
So if you can see this, this is a document that came from URPC today. The budget office presented, and Jeremiah will know more because he was at this meeting, and I unfortunately wasn't able to attend. But these documents are showing, maybe I should back up a little bit. This is our category 2. And as you know, AS is part of category 2 fees. And this shows the projection. So we've got pre-COVID, mid, and then kind of, because we don't have crystal balls, but we're doing the best we can to get an idea of what it might look like. And so the budget office is currently recommending that we all look at a negative 20%. And so, for example, this is the health fee, right? And so the projection for next year is $3.688 million. And you can see that it's going down until here. It looks like this is gonna be the dip, and then it's gonna increase here. So they provided this for all areas in category 2. You've got the health facilities, you've got athletics, HIFE, IRA, JAC Pass, MSF. And so here we are, the Student Body Association fee. And this year, the number is 622 that we're targeting. And the reason it's up at 700,000 is because we're saying, according to our reserve policy, you're already taking from your reserves at this point almost $100,000. So, and then as you can see, the following year, it's not looking any better. We're actually going down. And then the following year we're going down, and then the following year we're going down. And then for some reason, this one isn't increased. I'm not sure why, but it's a continual decline. So imagine sitting in this seat in 4 or 5 years and having this amount plus maybe some reserves, depending on how much you spend right now. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just strongly cautioning you to plan for the future and to think about the students that are going to follow you. And as painful as it is to hear students today struggle with that concept, this is our reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Janessa. Let's hear from, Jeremiah, and then I'm gonna ask for a main motion after that to approve the budget. It is an action item, and this is kind of the last time we have to do this. So that'd be great if we can do it. After that, I'll say a little bit more after that, but go, Jeremiah.
Thank you so much, Will. And thank you, Janessa, for that. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, I'm in URPC, and I sit there almost every week, and I listen to the fact that we have to almost go through $20 million in reductions within the next 2 to 3 years. And so it's really hard when I look at these numbers and I walk out of these meetings, and it's almost like, it's honestly depressing, because I'm like, okay, well, I want to give to students. I want to be able to support them, and I can't in the way that I want to. Just because we don't have the resources to do it. So that's why I think in this reimagination scenario that has been proposed and that we're trying to make sure is happening, we can still create events that our clubs want to have happen. We can still support students in different ways, but making sure that AS as an entity can still allocate those resources in the years to come, because as that scenario you saw, like we're going to lose almost $200,000 in the next 4 years in regards to our fee taken when we take in the fees from our students based upon the head count, which is also was projected to go down over these next years. It is not like I think that's why Dr. Trumbo was going to get at this too. It is not the fact that the AS board of directors is that sitting before you is saying that we're being punitive against folks and saying that we don't want to support our students. And that's honestly not the case. The reality is that we want to support y'all so bad that we're willing to go into our reserves almost $100,000, almost over $100,000 to be able to still support in some type of way. So, for me, I believe that this 717 is really a great option, and also to the reimagination scenario within it is super important to carry out and to continue, because not only it also gives future boards to be having a little wiggle room in regards to be able to fund certain things for next semester and the semesters and so on and so forth. So with that being said, I motion to approve the 2020-2021 budget at 717-152.
Thank you. Before I ask for a second, Casey informed me that Mayuli and Montel have joined and our quorum has increased. Just letting everyone know. And with that said, can I ask for a second?
Second.
All right. Let's do another roll call vote, if that's okay.
I'm here, just had to get it written. So the motion on the floor is to approve the 41720. Are you going to take public comment after during this typical discussion? I just haven't really heard public comment given opportunity. And we did say to some of the people who appealed that this is when discussion would be. Typically, we take the first, the second, and this motion would be on the floor, and then there'd be opportunity for people from the public to speak.
I should have specified at the beginning that I was hoping to get public comment as we were going through this. That's 100% my bad. But yeah, we can open it up for discussion. But I'm just going to say real quick, in the same way that we're having to move money around from different places, we're having to move some time around. So we still have 4 resolutions to get through after this. And that means that we have less time to discuss those as well, which this is way more important, but those are things that need to get done today. That being said, Amanda from RAP has a comment.
To be crystal clear for everyone, this motion is to approve the 417 numbers and disregard 410 numbers.
Yes.
I feel like that might be preemptive and maybe everyone's kind of exhausted at this point, and it might just be out of exhaustion and not really fully considering the future of some of these programs here. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. VP Finley.
Hey, Amanda, and hey, Will. I completely resonate with that. I think there is a certain level of just exhaustion, but I think this exhaustion comes from the amount of deliberation that we have done over this budget. I think it's been almost 2 months. We started in February in the Board of Finance, and then it came to March at the Board of Directors. Then we had weeks to talk about it and create different scenarios, racking our brains trying to figure out how to grapple with understanding that we're in a bad situation. And I completely understand where you're coming from, but I'm not sure how the student union is going to look if we don't make sure that we take some steps to protect our voice moving forward.
Thank you, VP Finley. President Cano Sanchez.
Amanda, I was just wondering, have we been able, sorry if I could pose a question to Amanda, have we been able to get your line item request? Have we been able to get that moved? We haven't voted on that yet, have we?
No, but it's not, the total amount is still the same. So it's not like something that could be done in the future, like in the fall, I could just come to the Board of Finance and be like, can you move this please? Because it's still kind of the same 28,500.
Definitely, thank you.
Representative Amora.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that budget allocations in every higher education are always long and difficult, back and forth, and that doesn't make it, it doesn't make it a reason for us to protect our voice and tell that to other students. That's not, there's no problem about that. However, I just wanted to say that since we are giving committee packages, we're already protecting our voice. So just putting that on the table, our voice is already protected, and other AS in the future, they can make their own money because money comes and goes. Money doesn't stay in one area and just stay there forever. So just because we're losing doesn't mean that we won't get a grant or there won't be any way of us getting money. So I just want to ensure that for us to get more money, we have to make sure we're putting more money in our students directly through programming.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. I do want to get the point that, AS is more than just the government. It is all of us. And so we are together. We are all making tries and efforts to make sure that we can reimagine and protect all of our voices. So that is what I mean when I say we need to protect all of our voices. Because if we cannot protect all of our voices through the funds that we commit, then we lose that ability to do that in the future. And we lose the ability to fund events in the future when the budget is coming in at 400,053. That is not a good number to be able to really look around and fix. So that way we need to make strides now to avert that in the future. But thank you all so much for your comment, and I'm glad I can provide some clarification.
Okay, thank you, Finley. We're gonna go to Kendra Higgins, our business coordinator. I forgot her title. I'm so sorry, Kendra. And then President Cano Sanchez, and then hopefully vote.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. Thank you, board. Just kind of looking at the URPC numbers that Janessa provided, that was the first time I saw it, kind of what the projections are. But just taking a look on where it's about $600,000 and looking at our budget at $700,000. And then going into the general operations budget, you're having 2 pro staff employees. You're increasing last year's fiscal year budget and reducing 1 pro staff employee, but yet you're getting more of a budget. So looking at that and seeing what the actuals are, kind of back to what Casey was trying to allude to earlier. Yeah, and just seeing where we can provide more money to the students. I feel like this is one area that the board should really look at. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cano Sanchez.
I was gonna ask if I'd be allowed to second that motion that is currently on the table.
What do you mean?
I thought Jeremiah motion to approve the 4/17/20 budget.
That was already seconded by you, I believe. No.
I have on record that Vice President Rueda seconded the motion and that we are in formal discussion after that motion was made.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Asking for clarification on the next step, but thank you.
Okay. With that, I think we're, without any other hands raised, let's move on to our voting.
Okay, if you could clearly say an aye or a nay, and we'll go in the same order. President Cano Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice President Finley.
Aye.
Vice President Rueda.
Aye.
Officer Smith.
Aye.
Grad student Huang.
Aye.
Representative Amora.
Nay.
Representative Floyd.
Aye.
I need to swing back to Officer Cuellar. Sorry, Mayuli.
Aye.
And then down to Representative Lamar.
Aye.
Representative Follett.
Aye.
Representative Gutierrez.
Aye.
We have, the number has changed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 yeas and 1 nay. The motion on the floor passed. The approved budget from 4/17/20 with a bottom line of 717,152 has passed.
Great, thank you, everyone. I know this has been a whole ordeal for everyone, and I'm glad we were able to come to a conclusion. So that being said, time to go on to the resolutions. First up is the resolution to eliminate Humboldt State University's purchase and consumption of single-use disposable plastic products. This is a second reading, which means we are able to motion on it tonight. Great. If it's just Gabrielle who's here. So you want to speak to the changes that have been made, and then we can motion and get into discussion.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, Will. So based off of the feedback that Sarah Conlivestone and I took from our last talk 2 weeks ago, we made a few changes. One of them changed the words must into should consider, recognize, asked to commit in, HSU shall not promote, in order to not demand so much, but to kind of show our support for this motion, because we can't really demand such things, but those were our reasons for changing those words. So from must into a more like shall conversation. We also added the line on result that says in contact with AS and about abilities in progress, self-monitoring, and thus will continuously minimize, so on. And we made that amendment because of the feedback about needing more conversation with dining services. And so given that, we decided to put this aspect in so it would show that we are wanting to continue to have transparency and communication with dining facilities and seeing how far they can really take the disposable plastic ban. And then we also added the water bottle ban from spring 2012 onto our resolution to add more credibility.
Great. Thank you so much. It is very, very thoughtful of you to take everyone's feedback and apply it in such a great way. Is there any discussion or no? Falling into bad habits. Can I get a motion?
I motion to move into formal discussion. Into informal discussion, sorry.
Yeah, because informal would be after we make like a big motion or whatever. Shouldn't have said that part. But yes, there is a motion on the table to go into informal discussion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Does anybody object to this?
I object.
We go to a roll call vote.
That one objection could be noted.
Oh, yeah, that too. Thank you. Thank you for being here. An objection is noted. Hearing no other objections, we move into informal discussion. Great. Now that we're here, I'm guessing that hand raise is to go again.
Yes. Yeah, I think this resolution is super important that we make sure that we get this out here. So I think that in just the spirit of things and making sure that we can help out where we can, I would support this.
Great, thank you. Can someone, now that we're doing it, we're into this part of it, we're gonna be doing, can someone please motion and cede their time for Amanda from RAP now? Just because we're in a kind of a different part of our votingness. Amal has her hand raised, so Representative Amora.
Can I yield my time to Amanda?
Great, yes. Amanda, you have the floor.
Hi, so I currently serve as the program manager for the waste reduction program, and I just want to, say my full support for this resolution to pass, and it's kind of long overdue. 2012 was the water bottle ban, so it's kind of something that is coming to age in 2020. And the waste reduction program will work with AS to uphold this resolution and work with dining services and kind of work out some of the logistics of enforcement of this resolution. You could look to the waste reduction program to help AS.
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you, Amal, for yielding your time. Finley, was
Yes, well, I just have one like clarification, maybe not clarification because I clearly read what it says. It says resolved issues who shall not promote, the use of confetti and helium balloons at commencement ceremonies. So I don't know how this would really play out in regards to folks bringing their support from their families. You get balloons. It's a celebration because you just graduated. From, or you received your diploma. You're receiving your diploma from this institution. That's a super big important day. So is this like specifically talking about like those type of balloons?
So specifically, it does entail all disposable plastics. So yes, it would entail those. It's not as if they cannot bring them, but it is more so enforcing that we promote other kind of forms of congratulations. So I'm sure that we could brainstorm quite a bit with RAP and other programs like CCAT on campus to create some sort of promotion for the end of the years. So I was talking with CCAT. They wanted to do workshops on creating like leaf confetti and just non-disposable plastics that are awfully harmful to the environment.
Okay, can we outline that in the resolution, like resolve that so-and-so will work with so-and-so to help create alternatives?
It says that on the end of that statement.
No, it does.
Because an organization such as CCAT can provide sustainable alternatives. One thing that I will note in the same kind of, not the same kind of vein, but in the vein of what I was saying last time we looked at this, we are saying that Humboldt State University shall not promote. We are not all of Humboldt State University, so we can't say that. We can say associated students or the associated students shall not promote, because unless we have the full backing of every different, I want to say stakeholder, but that's not really what they are. We can't say that all of us, faculty, staff, administration, anybody, because that is who HSU is. We can only say what we can do. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Amora, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that vague language as well as high expectations yield high results. And so in this case, AS is a voice for all students. And so that includes HSU and staff and faculty to work with students, obviously. So I believe that keeping it that way would be better, just because we're trying to get high results. We're trying to get the most out of what we can. So if we put AS shall not promote, well, AS, what's its business like, doing all these intricate stuff with graduation? Like, we just have to keep it broad, because we want to make sure everyone's involved and we're not keeping the low expectations, because that won't get anything for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Vice President Moreta.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of what Chair Wu has said, because again, I had this concern the last time this was brought up, because we are associated students and we don't necessarily have the willpower to tell the state what to do. So I would like to offer a friendly amendment to that resolved, so that it would read, resolved that associated students lobbies HSU to ban the use of confetti and helium balloons, and so on and so on.
So Gabby, or Gabrielle, sorry.
It's all right.
You can.
Yeah, that's definitely accepted. Is that something that we can add right now?
It's, it'll be added. Not to that one because it's a PDF, but it'll be added before it's signed. Great.
If friendly amendment could be typed out, and if I heard it correctly, may I pose that everything coming from the board in a resolution is advocating and lobbying to a different area of campus? If it were legislation, that would be something that AS has control over, but resolutions inherently are lobbying to different areas. So it might be a redundancy.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what just got said. Make that a little more, can you help me clarify?
Yeah, sorry. Maybe Bree, if you would like to say your friendly amendment or type it in again, and I will try not to confuse everybody. I might have just misunderstood what you said.
Yeah, no, I think I know what you're, like the whole gist of it is like every resolved basically now needs to kind of be changed to have that language, because we are not the deciding factor on this. And that's what you were kind of saying, like this is a piece of advocacy or like lobbying, correct, Casey?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to say that this as a resolution in existence is inherently trying to lobby to a different part of campus. So compared to anything like what I'm showing now, which is a piece of legislation, an act that would change something within AS that we, like you're all saying, like we have control over. I have air quotes going in my own room over here. But a resolution is coming from the board of directors saying basically what you're wanting to add into that resolved. Like inherently, the associated students, by writing and approving this resolution, is lobbying to different areas of campus to do this. So I'm, to be more clear in my language, saying that Bree's friendly amendment, it would be redundant.
Got you. Thank you. I will rescind my friendly amendments out of redundancy.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on this item? Seeing none, I ask for a motion on this. Technically, we needed a motion to get out of informal discussion, but sorry, go, Maura.
I move to approve this amendment. I move to approve this resolution to eliminate Humboldt State University's purchase and consumption of single-use disposable plastic products.
Can I get a second?
Seriously?
Hearing none, the motion dies on the table.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, her yes was up in the chat. I don't know if you can see that, but I did catch it at the end, I think.
Where?
It's in the participants section of like the chat.
I don't see, the last thing I see is a chevron and then "It's okay" by Representative Amora.
It's on the participant side, like where our names are, you know, how you told us to put like yes and then no for when we vote.
Oh no, this is a second.
I was just wondering if maybe that was her way of a second.
Are you talking about Representative Gutierrez?
Yes, but if she hasn't spoken up, then I assume.
Sorry, my bad. I had left that from something else from earlier.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay. So again, the motion dies on the table without a second. I will entertain any further motions.
I move to table this. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I honestly, actually, I think it could still be you, but there's only one other. There's either it can be tabled or it can be not, because we just moved to approve it. Finley has his hand raised.
A motion to approve this resolution.
I thought we just did that.
Or is it a second? No.
We just
That's
did that.
what Amal pitched earlier. And I asked for a second on it.
Motion to table this item to the next board meeting.
I'm looking for a second.
I second.
Okay. If there is a motion.
Will, I'm sorry, Will. I'm a little confused. can we not motion to reconsider?
We can motion to reconsider, but you have to ask for that motion.
All right. Yeah, motion to reconsider.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, so basically we get to redo that vote in the most easy way of explaining that possible. So we are reconsidering this, which means, shoot, how do I explain this correctly? Sorry, this is the worst time to be looking through a book. Where is it? Reconsider. If Jeremiah or Casey can please pitch in.
Yeah. If Casey, correct me if I'm wrong, but a motion to reconsider. So what can happen is now this item can be reconsidered because after it was already kind of that we never took a vote on it. So. Oh, this is frustrating.
So to try and mitigate this, since there's not an answer to get from the book because this has become pretty convoluted, I'm going to advocate that we can, and this can be noted in the minutes, but I think we should go back to Amal Amora's original motion to approve the resolution on disposable plastic products and wait for a second to be properly given, as it sounds like there was just a misunderstanding, and that's the intent of a motion to reconsider.
Okay. Let's do that. So Representative Amora had motioned to approve this resolution. Can I get a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none. Okay, the motion is to approve this resolution. Those opposed, please use the red button, and if you're abstaining, please use the blue button. Otherwise, this is general consent. Because, yeah. There is there are two objections noted from Lamar and Floyd.
And one abstention from Gutierrez.
Oh, yeah, missed that one, sorry. But it still passes, I believe.
Correct, that means we have 7 ayes.
Okay, so the motion passes. Good job, everybody. Sorry for all the convolution.
Thank you, Will.
So we're moving on to our second resolution of the night, which is, it's not a resolution, it's a legislation. It's an act to create a bylaws committee. This is in its second reading. I am a co-author on it, and Finley is also here to talk about it. I do want to ask for a friendly amendment or recommend a friendly amendment. I don't know if I can do it myself. Oh,
I can recommend. I can amend it.
I mean,
yeah, that's I'm like we can do it right now. So, and I'll get to that point after I read it or reread it. Yeah, so nothing's really changed except for what we're about to say for right now. We want to make sure that this has a start date. You know, we don't want to pass this resolution and then it immediately goes into effect and we have to create a whole new bylaws committee within this next week. So, you know, what I'll just add is resolved before the last resolved that, and I'll type this out to send over as well right now. Resolved that the bylaws committee go into effect and this in the next academic year.
Yeah.
Okay, Casey's already writing it. Okay, thank you, Casey.
Yes, thank you, Casey. Is there any discussion on this item? Or no, actually, I'm asking, can I get a motion on this item?
A motion to move into informal discussion.
Can't I just get an approve or deny? And then we can discuss it after that.
Okay. I motion to approve this resolution.
Great. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this item? This is open for anybody. If you want to, if you're a public comment, you can raise your hand and we can get someone to cede to you. Okay, seeing no other discussion, the motion was to approve this with the addition that we just added. If anyone is opposed, please use the red no button. If anyone is abstaining, please use the raise hand. Otherwise, this is general consent. So. All right,
one
we got an
objection.
abstention from Lizbeth and an objection from Amora. Oh, were you raising your hand to discuss, Liz?
No, it was abstention.
Oh, okay, sorry, it disappeared. Otherwise, that's all there is. So this is an approved legislation. Right, Casey? Can I say that definitively?
Correct. That is a 1 nay, a 1 abstention, which with our new number puts us to 10 ayes.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I think this is really going to be helpful in the coming year and beyond. Next up, we have a resolution that is for authorizing the movement of associate students of Humboldt State University checking account from U.S. Bank to Wells Fargo. This is in its second reading, which means I'll be accepting motions on it.
I move to not approve moving U.S. Bank to Wells Fargo.
Great, can I get a second? I'm not seeing a second. The motion dies on the table. I'll entertain other motions. To clarify, the way that the parliamentary guide sets this out is that we are not supposed to have debate on anything until after a motion happens, which is why I keep asking for them before we discuss them, because we've been doing it the wrong way this whole time.
Hey, Will.
So if we could please get a motion.
What are you looking for, a motion to approve, or do you want another informal motion?
That is, I would prefer it to be approved, deny, or table, but we can go into informal discussion.
I motion to approve this resolution.
Okay.
Second.
All right, the motion is seconded by Floyd, firsted by Finley. That's not a word. I would like to open this up for discussion. Please raise your hand.
If I can, I want to raise my hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also do want to bring up this point. This is the only bank that our DACA students are able to kind of really have access to. I believe that HSU it stands for many things. HSU is a multi-faceted university and institution. However, it's important that we make sure that, and so I understand where we're coming from with environmental sustainability. However, this, I think, will tackle two really important things. Being able to save students' money, because ultimately this is what it is students' monies. And also being able to support our DACA and undocumented students.
Thank you. Representative Amora.
Yeah, so in disagreement to President Dr. Tom Jackson, as well as what Jeremiah legislative officer.
Jeremiah. Jeremiah is my name. My title is Legislative Vice President.
Yeah, I know. That's what I just said. Okay, so the whole thing with the undocumented is it was a scam. Federal banks are required to show two types of IDs. They said that they allowed one type of ID and undocumented immigrants were able to make accounts. However, that was a scam. I shared multiple newspapers in the previous meetings when the president said that. I will share them again. They had to pay a civil lawsuit because it was illegal what they were doing. And so let's not spread misinformation, and I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying that this is mere information. It is a penalty, it is illegal. And so if you're talking about banks supporting undocumented, we don't have one yet. So Wells Fargo is in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Amora. We have Cano Sanchez and then Finley again, I think.
All right. So with this conversation, it's been being held for a long time, and there was opportunity to be able to visit other banks, and the cost cuts to the forming part and changing over to this bank are clear and evident, and I know that that is also really problematic for a lot of us, because that means that the money that would be allocated to pay off these services could be used for other things that we do not agree with. And I totally understand that, but there was a period for everyone to research of banks to be able to contribute to this conversation a lot more and a lot further. And I do want to say that I agree with the misinformation that Representative Amora has been bringing up. I also do not want, I am for this, but I wanted to make it clear, and I do not want the board making a motion based on misinformation. I'm actually a dreamer, and I have attended and gone to the Bank of Wells Fargo, and unfortunately, no, they did not accept only my student ID card. So I definitely do not want that misinformation to be a part of the decision, but I think that we need to make a motion on this, and we need to have this be an action item, whether it's not going to happen. I think someone needs to definitely get on that. So yeah, I think we should go for this, and yeah, pretty much it.
Thank you, Cano Sanchez. I'm gonna go to Social Justice and Equity Officer Cuellar.
May I yield my time to Amanda?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So these cost cuts, that they could, excuse me, I'm trying to read my sloppy notes. The cost cuts will support, student programs, but those, as a student here, as just a student, now I'm just participating in this meeting just as a student because I'm interested and I want to be involved. That's my money too, and I don't want it to support the fossil fuel industry. And I think the ACE has just such a powerful opportunity to stand against Wells Fargo, and just echoing that money is power and that we have power to divest from systems that ultimately lead to collapse of our societies. And I think we should just really, really think that through. Also echoing that we could find money, make some grants, get money in other creative ways instead of trying to just cut corners and go back doors, because that's not imaginative. That's just, it's disheartening to just see this want to be passed quicker and quicker instead of really considering the future of the planet. It's so disheartening. Thank you so much for yielding your time to me, Malali.
It's Mayuli, but you got this. Thank you so much, Amanda. Representative Amora, you have your hand raised again. Oh, it's gone. Okay. I'm not seeing any other discussion really. So the motion, I believe, was to approve this resolution. Is that correct?
You're correct. The motion was to approve the resolution.
Great. Just given how not combative, but controversial this is, I believe we should do a full vote. Is that okay, Casey?
Can do. Okay, let me just draw a new line. My page is getting full.
Mine too.
Okay. So the resolution currently on the table up for approval is the resolution authorizing the movement of associated students of Humboldt State University's checking account from U.S. Bank to Wells Fargo. If you could say aye or nay, and I'll start with President Cano Sanchez.
Abstain.
Vice President Finley.
Aye.
Vice President Rueda.
Abstain.
Officer Cuellar.
I abstain.
Officer Smith.
Nay.
Graduate Rep Huang.
Aye.
Representative Amora.
Nay.
Representative Floyd.
Aye.
Representative Lamar.
Aye.
Representative Follett.
Aye.
Representative Gutierrez.
I abstain.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes. 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions, and 2 nays. So the motion to approve fails.
Okay. I'll entertain other motions.
A motion to send this back to the Board of Finance to reconsider.
We have a motion on the table.
I second the
Could
motion.
I ask for that motion to just be more like a refer back?
Yeah, I motion to have this item referred back to the Board of Finance.
Thank you.
Can I get a second?
I second that motion, Connor Sanchez.
I'm hoping there's no more discussion on this, but is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's move on to a vote. We don't have to do the full thing. If you, this will be a general consent. If you oppose this or referring this back to the Board of Finance, please use the red X for no. Otherwise, use the raise hand for abstain. And everything else is approved. I'm falling apart. Is there any abstentions or opposition? Seeing none, yeah, it passes. This will be referred back to the Board of Finance. Okay, we have another legislation coming up, an act to create a parliamentarian on the AS Board of Directors. This is in its second reading, so I will be looking for some motions on our giant table.
You said you're looking for what now? Will I
motions? A motion? Anything.
Okay, this is an act to create parliamentarian. Okay, so a couple of things need to happen. Well, no problem. So what we need to do first is I want to basically change up the resolve, basically the same thing. Before the last resolve, it should be resolved to add another resolve. Resolved that the parliamentarian go into effect the next semester. Or actually, that the resolve that the parliamentarian position go into action at the transitional meeting. Are you good with that?
Yeah. I think
Montel, are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Liz, you have your hand raised.
Oh, I don't think we're in formal discussion yet, so I'll wait.
Okay. Looking for a motion then.
I motion to approve this resolution.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's move into some discussion about this. Yeah, President Cano Sanchez.
Thank you. So I'm wondering if the parliamentarian would have a stipend attached to their position.
Yeah. Hey, Elizabeth. So yes, this position would have it attached. This position would be an executive position. So they would have the executive level compensation for this position.
Can I follow up with another question?
Go ahead.
Where do we see this stipend amount being pulled from in order to make sure that this position isn't overworked or without any pay?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this question. This is a question that was also asked in here. So Elizabeth, I'm pretty sure you've been in the conversations about what's happening to the AS Presents officer in regards to that place, because the AS Presents under this new budget is no longer exists. So, with that said, we technically would not be pulling any additional funds into the stipend amount. What we would be doing is simply trading off the positions. So we can definitely add language in here that says resolved that the AS Presents position is formally eliminated from the AS Constitution, codes, and policies. Will, if you're okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Montel, are you okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. And so what that does, Liz, now this can go through and it kind of just trades off, so that way our overall amount in our budget doesn't move at all.
So, sorry, could you phrase that as, I guess, did you say it was an amendment specifically, or did you?
Well, I think anytime a co-author and their co-authors agrees on something, the resolution just changes.
Well, I mean, because of how motions work.
Okay, I motion to add a second resolve, stating that the AS Presents position is formally eliminated from the Constitution, codes, and policies.
Okay, can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Sorry, the chat's blowing up. That's a great question. So we're still in discussion then. I guess we can vote. No, we have to vote on it now. Unless we talk about the amendment specifically. So hand raised from Amora.
Yeah, so if we're gonna have a bylaws committee, which I believe already passed, if I'm not mistaken, according to my memory, then why do we need an AS parliamentarian instead of an AS Presents? Because I believe both should be functioning, especially since we now have a bylaws committee.
So I can address that. So yeah, I think what you're comparing is honestly apples to oranges. They don't really correlate. AS Presents has nothing to do with bylaws, anything like that. So, the reason behind creating a parliamentarian is really to make sure, as it's laid out also in the resolution itself, is to make sure that the AS Board of Directors can function as optimum in regards to keeping their minutes, to keeping institutional knowledge, and keeping just the meeting running up straight, continuously. As we've seen, we ran into a couple of parliamentary issues throughout this meeting alone. And so if we dedicate one position solely to focusing on our parliamentary procedure, I think that will really serve the association wonders. I think this is what we need. In regards to the AS Presents, I can also address Cassie's question really quickly. The AS Presents as a budget item no longer exists. What is happening is it's turning into AS Collabs, and the AS Collabs it was recommended from the Board of Finance to have the Student Affairs Advisory Committee administer over that item.
Thank you, VP Finley. We have a hand raised from President Cano Sanchez.
So what I'm kind of like, I'm kind of sharing the sentiment from Representative Amora, because we have a bylaws committee already, and we have a vice president of legislation. So I'm wondering if this is not one of the duties to already know parliamentarian, into parliamentarian codes, and to be able to be familiar and be really on top of them, then shouldn't this be something added under the vice president of legislation description in order to know this? It just seems that we would be having 3 different entities doing similar work for policies, for conducting meetings, and being able to know that very well. So I'm kind of just seeing that being a bit of a don't know exactly when you have a lot of like a whole committee working on these documents that are supposed to be advising the vice president and preparing them of legislation, preparing them for these meetings and helping them out and advising them, and then you still need a parliamentarian. So it's just confusing to me. It feels like it could be a conflict of interest in future voting when you have so many eyes working on the same things. Of course, I'm not saying that the committee would be board members, but I'm just raising that concern. It to me right now, it seems a little bit of a redundancy, but if you could provide clarification, that would be great.
Yeah, total. Liz, I can really provide that clarification. I'm sorry, we're kind of cutting you off there. But again, I think what's happening is we might be making this larger than what it actually is. The parliamentarian is a person. It is not a body of people looking at the same as the parliamentarian. Is there to help the chair out in regards to parliamentary procedure. If you've been at Senate, you know the kind of dynamic that Mary Watson shares with University Chair Stephanie Burkhalter. That type of relationship is what they have. Similarly, how I have the relationship, or when I'm normally chairing with Casey during our meetings. However, we've been noticing that it's really beneficial. I think if we can kind of separate some of those duties and responsibilities, so that way when we're requesting minutes and stuff, it's kind of easier to get our hands on those minutes. And ultimately, I think I go back to this expression, many hands make light work. So with that being said, if we get more people involved in our board of directors and the process and making sure that we're up to date on what we're supposed to be doing, is super great. The Guiding Documents Task Force is kind of what I guess the baby version of what the Bylaws Committee is now going to be. Thankfully, it was approved. But that's what that body is there for, to have the Bylaws Committee help advise the legislative vice president on actions to take in regards to the policies associated and so forth and so on. So it's super important, I think, just to have this person, because I can't do it all. I'm not Superman. None of us are. And so if we get more folks in here to help us out with these tough issues and navigating these tough conversations, then ultimately we can build something that can last. So that's the purpose behind creating the AS Parliamentarian.
Can I just move in right now? So that's exactly what I was going to say. And I notice that Casey is mentioning that Mary Watson is she serves the same kind of thing as Casey does, but really at least for me, the reason why I wanted to be a co-author on this is because I've seen Casey working. She is always doing so much, not just for us, but for her programs. She's helping everyone out. And I wanted to have a way to lessen that load on someone who is doing so much constantly in this one way. And it's very specific that our meetings, this is for our meetings. This is someone who will be helping us in that same kind of capacity. And that's not to say that Casey won't be at these meetings. She will be, but someone who is a student who is able to lead to these kinds of things and point to them and tell us and take that burden just a little bit of it off. Someone who's working so hard, and this isn't just for Casey, this is for any board coordinator that we have like if this passes, obviously it'll help into the future. And that's really why I did it. And the thing about what Finley was pointing out is that it's not about legislation. They're about our procedures, the thing that we have not been in compliance with all year. And we were struggling with it all of first semester. We got better about it second semester, but we're still not there. And a parliamentarian is the person who will keep us from breaking our codes, breaking our parliamentary procedure that we're supposed to follow, breaking any of those things that we are. So that's me saying that. Sorry for getting a little political in my place as chair. Jeremiah, I'm sure, is that another hand raised?
No, it's not. I just forgot to put my hand
down. Thank you, Casey, for that. So Representative Amora and then Representative Cano Sanchez.
Yeah, two things to say. The first is that as a parliamentary procedural body, we need to make sure that we're not moving towards law and order and then depersonalizing what we are as a student body. And so even though we're not perfect in a parliamentary procedure, perfection doesn't really exist. And so I understand the urge to make sure that we're abiding by the code, but I think that the code can be stretched as needed. And so with that being said, I would definitely just kind of warn that we're not getting obsessed with parliamentary procedure and code that we're overlooking for the future.
We'll get right to you, Liz. For clarification, it is like a part of our duties to follow these. It's a part of our codes that we follow. Sturgis's parliamentary procedure. So I'm sorry, that's incorrect. We're moving on to Cano Sanchez.
Yeah, so thank you, Will, for that clarification. That actually helped me, be able to understand the need for this position. So I definitely think that this is a great idea. The only thing that I kind of do not feel comfortable is the way that this was. It happened in my mind. I want to be honest and I want to be clear that when we were making the decision, or the Board of Finance was making that recommendation about having the AS% monies and allocated budget be shifted over into collaborative aspect to be under the SAVP, I do not believe the right forms of communication were used. And so it was just, I raised my hand in that meeting and I asked, when would they be talked to, or when would they be addressed? And what I got as a response was during the meeting they would be addressed, but if it wasn't for SAVP and Retta, that wouldn't have actually been addressed. And to see that this is an idea for someone else to just kind of roll into that when we haven't really formally passed a resolution. We didn't formally inform both of those individuals, both of those representatives, and then now a position pops up for that stipend. That is very concerning to me. I understand it, but I understand the position, and I think this is but I just have to put that out there, and I have been holding that in as a representative, and everything that happened just shifted my attention elsewhere. But yeah, that is it. I wanted to be known. I agree with this. I think it's great, but the manner and the way that we got to this was not at all what I envisioned, and it's not the process that I was kind of advocating for, which was communication, communication, and communication. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cano Sanchez.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with what just was said at all. I think there was ample communication in regards to what was going to be needed to happen in order for us all to function and go through with this process. But people have their opportunity. People have their reasonings to do what they believe they should do, and that's, I think, the point of voting. So for me, I would just kind of keep hammering the point that we need this in order to better follow our Sturgis codes. In addition to that, there was conversations talking about making sure that this wouldn't even go into effect until the next transitional meeting. So folks who are sitting in the board in positions now are not going to be affected. Effectively, what this would do is make it to where this position wouldn't even, the AS President's position would not even be an option to be filled by the president, as it is an appointed position to be filled. This parliamentarian, as it's more important and serves the organization more, would be that person, be that point person, and the student affairs vice president and their advisory committee would be able to administer the AS Collabs Fund underneath a new allocation process.
Thank you, VP Finley. Okay, for this, I would like to ask for a motion to extend by 15 minutes.
I motion to extend for 15 minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, quick vote. Jeremiah, how do you say it? I'm sorry. You say it way better than I for general consent.
All those that oppose. Oh, there's a motion on the floor to change the resolution to include.
Okay, I got
yeah.
it.
So you got it now.
Yeah. Okay. There is a motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes. All those opposed, use the red no button. All those abstaining, the raise hand button. We have one objection from Amora. The meeting is extended 15 minutes. Is there any more discussion on this item? Otherwise, we can vote on the amendment and then the motion, which is technically how this is supposed to happen, which is kind of crazy. Thinking of it now. So if there is no more discussion, can we vote on, okay, Representative Amora?
Yeah, I'm breaking my fast in 15 minutes, and that means I have to eat and stuff because I've been fasting all day. So if this meeting won't end in 15 minutes, I'm going to be off because I have to make dinner and eat.
Okay. We will still meet quorum if you have to leave, and your early, actually on time leaving will be noted as excused. Thank you for letting us know that, though. I'm not seeing any other discussion on the amendment. So the motion was to amend the, amend the legislation to remove the AS presents from our codes and to add a sunrise, which would mean that it starts at our May 8th meeting. All those opposed, please use the red no button. All those abstaining, please raise your hand. We have an abstention from Rueda, an abstention from Cano Sanchez, and an objection from Amora. That said, the motion passes.
Thank you all.
What was that?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So now that we're done with the amendment, is there any discussion on the actual motion, which is to approve this legislation? I'm not seeing any. So the motion was to approve this legislation, an act to create a parliamentarian. If there's any objections, please.
Just kind of I guess this maybe adds fuel to why this is necessary. I don't have a motion to approve. I only had motions to amend. So at this point, those amendments have been instituted, but we do need a motion to either approve or deny this as an entire resolution.
Okay.
Unless someone else,
It was
unless
the
I'm
same
completely
people,
wrong, which
right?
please tell me.
No,
It
you're
was
completely right.
no. It happened. Jeremiah did motioned. Well, geez, Floyd seconded, and then the amendment was also Finley and Floyd in those same exact roles. But because people are getting confused, I will ask for a motion on this legislation.
I motion to approve the resolution and act to create a parliamentarian on the AS Board of Directors.
Floyd seconds.
Okay. There is a motion to approve legislation to create an act to create a parliamentarian on the AS Board of Directors. All those opposed, use the red button to say no. All those abstaining, please raise your hand. Okay. We have, it looked like a fourth one came in. Yeah. No. Okay. We'll go to a full vote because the raised hands keep disappearing.
Okay, great. And just for any future ones, anyone who's putting down people's hands, that's mitigating us being able to use that. Okay, so the motion on the table is to approve the act to create a parliamentarian on the AS Board of Directors with amendments. I'll hear ayes and nays, starting with President Cano Sanchez. Sorry, and an abstention as well, sorry. Vice President Finley.
Aye.
Vice President Rueda.
I abstain.
Officer Cuellar.
Aye.
Officer Grace Smith. Sorry, Smith. Gabby. I'll circle back to Gabby. Maybe somebody can check if she's in here so I don't waste time. Grad Rep Huang.
Abstain.
Representative Amora.
Nay.
Representative Floyd.
Aye.
Representative Lamar.
Aye.
Representative Follett.
Abstain.
Representative Gutierrez.
Aye.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes.
Question, Casey.
Yeah.
Do we need 2/3 for legislation? I'll look.
Sorry, I can't look at that kind of thing
Yeah,
right
I
now
got
when
it.
I'm sharing a screen.
I got it. Sorry, I understand. That was my bad.
And at this time, is Officer Smith still in the meeting?
It does not seem so.
Okay, our quorum has shrunk a little bit.
Finley, do you know?
For resolutions, and typically everything, well, it's legislation. And right now, as our codes are currently set up, resolutions and legislation seems to be conflated. I'm trying to separate the two and have been for the past semester. So with that being said, resolutions and legislation both needs, I believe, a 2/3 vote in order to be able to be carried out.
I don't think it actually says. we'll look into that. But given the controversy, the fact that as chair, I can only vote when it can change the outcome. And if the outcome were to be 50-50, then my vote would matter. I would say aye in this case. So it might not matter in the long run, but it would push us to over 50%.
So wait, Will, so I'm sorry, Casey, what is the total total number right now?
It's 5-5.
It's what?
It's 5 yays, 1 nay, and 4 abstentions.
1 nay and 4 abstentions. So if it was 4 abstentions, no.
We would have 5 yeses and 5 almost no's. Not almost no's, that sounds bad too.
Is this motion failing or are we not meeting quorum?
We meet quorum. It's a question of our code, actually. I don't think we address it. It's not in our government code. It only says 2/3 if it's a waiver.
Well, ultimately, it's the current chair that's of the meeting who makes the decision of how the codes are being perceived as.
Thank you for that.
I think you're right, Will.
Yeah.
It sounds like it just needs majority.
Yeah, it needs a majority, which we would get in that case.
Yeah, I agree. After being able to look at everything, you're correct that our codes really specifically call out situations where we ask for 2/3, like in appointments of executive officers, in some elections matters, in some passings of budgets, but with it being silent on other matters, we would need a simple majority. And Will, you are correct that at this point we have 4 abstentions, 1 objection, so lump those together for 5, and then 5 ayes, which does bring the currently seated chair into the mix to see if you break the tie.
And I vote aye.
You have voted aye, which brings us to 5 abstentions/objections and 6 ayes.
The motion passes.
Correct.
Sorry, that got, yeah.
Thank you, Will.
Sorry for all of the confusion. I'm just trying to make sure we're following our rules correctly. But we've passed it. Thank you so much, everybody. I think this is really gonna be a game changer. And with that, we move on to our last item that's outside of announcements and adjournment, which is new business, draft 5-year strategic plan. Liz, take it away, I think.
Yes, and I do not see it on the screen, so, oh, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna try to run by this really quickly as much as possible. So hi everyone. So this is the 5-year plan, and so that title could still be amended depending on what the vote looks like eventually if we decide this is something worth voting on. So yeah, so I started looking at the 5-year strategic plans within our association, and it looks like not a lot of them have been able to be fully met, and that brings us to a lot of plans, a lot of 5-year strategic plans being cut in the middle for some reason. I haven't, yeah, we don't know exactly why or what happened with that institutional knowledge, but I wanted to be able to honor that, and so honor that year 2017, 2023. And so right here, you just see us. It's the Associated Student Summary, History, and Background. That is our mission statement and our visions that are stated within, that were stated within that year 2016, 17. That is if you all don't want to change those dates up there. So I left it at that to not be confusing. Let's go up. This is just funding and human resources regarding AS. They are pretty straightforward. But yeah, let's keep on going. So for some of you that may not be familiar with 5-year strategic plans, 5-year strategic plans are very beneficial for an association or for just a group of individuals that want to be able to accomplish something and want to be able to have a vision within those 5 years. What are we trying to do within those 5 years? What is the goal? What is the kind of what is AES leaning towards, and where we are where is our advocacy, where were the goals from before, and where are we now. This is also a good way of doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for our associated students to keep further institutional knowledge and to be able to see how we have been serving our students throughout these years. So goal 1 is elevate and protect the student experience. Goal 2 is to strengthen the AS branding. Goal 3 is to ensure long-term organizational stability. Goal 4 is to foster, strengthen, and serve. And goal 5 is funded programs reevaluation. This goal 5 was made before any of the decisions were taken due to COVID and due to the budget cuts, enrollment droppings, and everything. So this would be something that I still need to amend. So yeah, let's go up. So goal 1, and that is to elevate and protect the student experience. For this, I wanted to keep it open for the feedback when I first presented this to the executive committee. So I just have some basic things there, but the way that it is set up is initiatives, what we basically want from there. How can we be able to see this coming to life based on a broad statement, and the numbers are actually recommendations that have been brought to me, that have been developed by myself or by other board members that have just come to me with these ideas, and that it was just so much that this is the opportunity for a 5-year strategic plan. So yeah, initiative number 1, develop and refine opportunities for campus-wide student engagement through AS programs and services. And this would mean to promote student participation through innovation and intentional outreach efforts. Also, sorry for any grammatical mistakes, putting that out there. So yeah, number 1, we would continue the committee compensation packet program. There was some talk that maybe it wasn't going to happen. Now that we've gotten past that budget, we know that it is, but this is something that we would like to see within the AS and continue. So this is a recommendation for the next board. The second one is to promote student participation through innovation and intentional outreach efforts to connect them with topics being discussed in the community. So this is the recommendation is to elevate the amount of student engagement in civic related events, topics, and changes occurring in the community. And this is something that I've definitely seen that could be a big goal for maybe especially our lobby corp. We have been seeing that student engagement in civic has increased throughout the semester. Thank you, Pal, for that amazing advocacy. And so yeah, this would be great to keep this momentum going, to keep students informed with the legislation pieces in the nation and with what our state is voting on, what our Cal State level is voting on. So yeah, let's go forward. Number 2 is to strengthen the AS branding. The initiative is to fully develop and implement the AS public relations, communication, and marketing service portfolio. This means that we would outline, define, and educate AS affiliates of services available. So how would we be able to do this? There was some work with the newsletter. Don't know how that ended up, but if we were to focus our energies on that newsletter a little bit better, it would be great. I need to add another idea that I have in there, but I will add that later on with your knowledge. 2 would be the memos. We have been having trouble us being able to send out these memos to our own students. And so we would like to be able to explore that opportunity further to see if through the creation of a system that was in the talks between the executives, it would some of the vice presidents, it would be great to see this maybe happening. So yeah, so 3, further development of social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Cassie has done an amazing job at boosting our Instagram and Facebook. So we would like to shift our focuses to Twitter. And yeah, honestly, our engagement on social media has increased. So thank you so much, Cassie. The second would be to initiate and implement documentation to promote student safety. So that is to write a resolution asking for campus facilities to implement more lighting posts around campus and overpass leading to campus, further ensure student safety. So this was something that was brought to our attention by Dr. Jackson, and asking us if this is something that the students want, and that this is we as the voice should raise this concern, and we completely agree. We want student safety and want students to feel safe, and they will feel safe when we advocate for more lighting and be able to talk to facilities about that. So yeah, just a recommendation. Can we scroll? 3, ensure long-term organizational stability. So the first initiative is to strengthen the role and efficiency of AS student government internally and to ensure AS pro staff success. So we would initiate and implement documentation to establish a successful structure method of analyzing, understanding, and presenting the business service contract. This might be a resolution, if needed, to have the executive committee preview business contract before going to the BOD and have the executives present the new business contract to the board of directors before signing. We highly advise that the following board begins working with the appropriate parties immediately on the business management service agreement. There was a lot of talk with that, and I believe there was an opportunity to grow our communication and our connection there, and we could do that by having this system be more something that we meet earlier in the semester within our terms. So the next one is to design a comprehensive assessment plan to strengthen our internal human resources. This was, of course, before we made that shift. So the recommendation was for someday to implement a clock and timer system to promote accountability and better assist our programs during their hours of work. Some of the things that we could look into was APD, Chronos, and other. So yeah, the next one is initiate and implement documentation for best transparency practices and communication internally. So this would be a resolution to have a yearly AS Pro staff reevaluation to determine which topics should be communicated to the AS Board of Directors, reevaluation to be done by the Executive Committee at the beginning of every fall. So I kind of wanted to reword that and be that this evaluation also happens at the end of the spring. So whenever new board members come in, they see what the board from the previous time wanted to have more communication on, have more information on. And so now this board knows to look for that and to know if it has bettered, and yeah, just to have institutional knowledge as well and provide helpful, constructive feedback to our AS Pro staff. And then it would be the next one is to initiate and implement documentation to specify AS Pro staff duties. And so when and if in the future we have our AS business coordinator maintain and back with us, we would be able to have a resolution if needed to add the AS business coordinator as an advisor role to be the co-advisor of the Board of Finance. I think this would really benefit us and empower Kendra, our future AS board coordinator, my apologies, with being able to advise us and being able to know that they can step in because they are an advisor. So yeah, the next slide is strengthen the role and efficiency of AS student government internally and to ensure AS Pro staff success. Yeah, I just really quickly want to go by this, and it would be to initiate and implement documentation to reevaluate the organization's function to establish a successful work order. This would be a resolution to change the board of directors chair from the vice president of legislation to the president. There's some other resolutions, and I also see a hand up, so I definitely I know that this is a long presentation and it was not enough time, but yeah, I want to make sure that if there's any comments right now, we take them so we can have a bit of a conversation.
It's not necessarily a comment on the presentation. You're doing a great job. I was going to motion to extend the meeting 10 minutes if we wanted to keep going because we're getting close to the end.
Yeah, we're so close to the end. So yeah, if someone can motion that, I'm pretty sure we probably wouldn't even use up all the 10 minutes. I don't know if we have another thing on the agenda.
He's motioning it. Can I get a second?
Oh, my bad. I meant second. Can I second that?
Yeah.
Second, I did. I said.
Okay, there's a motion to extend the meeting 10 minutes. Bye, Dean Turnbow. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
There's a motion to extend the meeting 10 minutes. Anyone opposed, please use the red no button. If you're abstaining, please raise your hand.
I'm not abstaining.
Okay.
I forgot to put my hand down. It won't.
Geez. So I don't see any opposition or abstentions. The meeting is extended 10 more minutes till 8:25. Please continue, Liz.
Thank you all. So yeah, so we were on the second piece of recommendation. It would be a recommendation to have a resolution to add a sense of the board motion to our board of directors meeting structure, which I kind of feel we have been beginning to do with entering into formal discussion and all of that. But this basically means that, let's say there is a resolution brought up to our attention about for example, the resolution that we just talked about plastic and reducing that and reducing the use of it. So it would be first to see if that's a topic that the AES wants to take as a whole. So we would motion if this is a resolution we want to recognize. There's definitely work to be done with that, and I think Casey might be able to explain it a little bit better, but for the sake of time, I will go on with that, and if you all have questions, always feel free to email me. So yeah, so 3, resolution to restructure AES committees into working groups. And so there are some committees that we could probably see turning into working groups where they wouldn't necessarily be committees, because we have seen that they maybe do not have as much an appointment or can be meeting in a different structure, and they wouldn't be held down by the same Gloria Romero rules. So it doesn't change their status or anything. They would just be working groups. So that is a recommendation to explore the following committees: Earth Week every week and public relations. And then 4, it's a resolution, if needed, to initiate committee recruitment before the summer. And so we definitely have a lot of committees, and it is a lot of work to be able to get them in there. So this was also, I want to say this was an idea of Casey's, and if Casey later on, like, you can like further expand on it, it would be awesome. But yeah, moving forward with 5, it is a resolution to establish internal affairs committee. And again, as you all can see, that was Casey's idea. So that definitely would change the structure of our AES and would be something beneficial that we noticed from CSSA. If we can scroll up, please. All right. Strengthen the role and efficiency of AES student government internally. Initiate and implement documentation to allow for a smoother learning environment for the future board members. And this would be a creation of a task force to ensure the creation of a glossary/dictionary of all of our AES language, such as what is a committee, what is a task force, or what does bylaws mean. So yeah, the next piece would be to initiate and implement documentation to evaluate the organization's board members' compensation to establish a successful work order. And this was that resolution that we talked about, and that we had kind of a bit of a understanding that the stipends, have the board revisit the stipend increase that were proposed by the Board of Finance with the stipulations to be visited. So since we all know the state that we are in, it's not well practiced to have our stipends go up. So we put that in the 5-year strategic plan to be revisited when hopefully times are better. Let's scroll up, please. 4, foster, strengthen, and serve. Thank you, Casey. So these are just objectives and goals that were within the previous strategic plan. I did not want to pass by without acknowledging them or create something without the acknowledgement of them. So these are the objectives, and yeah, these are pretty straightforward. We have them in the other strategic plan. So if we can go on to the next goal. This is just a further expanding on what was already said. So 5, the funded programs reevaluation initiatives. The first initiative is to design a comprehensive assessment plan to strengthen and clarify the relationship between the associated students and our funded programs, to also specify the requirements of the funded programs. What does it mean to be a funded program? And yeah, so one day I think that I need to change the language in this. So if we ever have funded programs, this could be an idea that would help fortify our connection with them. And it is to initiate and implement consistent documentation to specify the relationship between the associate students and our funded programs. The first recommendation is a resolution to implement AES to the titles of our funded programs. The second initiative talks about having the associated students' role when it comes to initiate and implement consistent hiring procedures to strengthen this associate students' role when it comes to the hiring of our funded programs. And so it would be a resolution to have our funded programs directors to be hired by our executive committee, to the resolution to have the funded program members be hired by the director with final approval of the executive committee. We did receive feedback about this item from, I believe, Amanda from RAP. So thank you for that feedback. We definitely have a lot more to reconsider within that. And initiate and implement consistent documentation with warning procedures to protect our funded programs when it comes to probation. And so it would be a resolution to implement the following steps. The AS, if and ever we had our funded programs again, and I really hope that we do within reasonable time, we definitely do not want to have a sentiment of firing. We want to instead, what I'm recommending, since I'm the creator of this, would be this process, and it's a verbal check-in warning. Then it would be followed by 2 write-ups, and if a formal check-in and 2 write-ups have already been provided and the member just doesn't change their behavior, it would be a probation period. And during this probation period, the employee would be undergoing probation, would undergo training to help them develop professionally to return to work. And I think that's something to really think about, that we are students, we are learning, we are growing in our mind, and our opinions are changing a lot every day. And so having us, sometimes having this the sentiment of getting fired without proper process is not what we want. And this would definitely help eliminate that negative side, and you would undergo professional development to know whether it was bias that you had, whether it wasn't, to just help everyone develop professionally instead of being a punishment in a sense. And if we scroll down, I believe that is, we still have more. Design a comprehensive assessment plan to strengthen and clarify the relationship between the associate students and our funded programs, to also specify the requirements of the funded programs. What does it mean to be a funded program? And the recommendation to that bullet point is a resolution to hold our funded programs accountable when it comes to failure to meet any of these will result in the intervention, and the warning system will be taken into consideration. So to uphold our AS mission of environmental awareness and sustainability, to uphold our AS mission of establishing social justice, to communicate directly with AS when concerns arise, advice is needed, or questions need to be addressed, to implement an event tracking system to know how many students are being served per event. And I believe that is all. But yeah, this is when failure to meet any one of these, we would kind of just check in on the programs and check in on the members, see if maybe it's something that we need to better on our side, and how can we better it, and how can we both coexist and how we were before. And if in the future this is a change, this is where goal 5 would I hope be considered, if this is something that this board wants to established for the next board. Again, the numbers are just recommendations. They are the future boards are not tied to following any of these, but this is a strategic plan that we believe would be beneficial if approved and passed when the time comes. So yeah, and at this moment, it's just about feedback. I have a sheet that I shared with the executives, and I will be sharing it over with you all, the rest of the board members. Any feedback that you'd like to see, anything that you would like to be added on here, definitely drop it on that feedback sheet, and I would put it on here so we don't have to deal with permission and conflict of formatting or anything like that. So yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to present this to you all, and I hope that this is something that you all really consider and provide me some feedback, because I would really love to hear from our members and our representatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. Definitely be sure to use that feedback form. That is the end of our new business. So we move to announcements. If we have any, let's keep them snappy. Liz, you have an announcement.
Yeah, I think it was just Casey and I kind of had this announcement. So Casey, correct me if I'm wrong on the announcement. To be on the lookout on Monday. Be tracking your emails because we will be sending out the ED. I always forget what it's specifically called, but it's an evaluation of our ED. Will be in the Google Sheet format for you all to answer. And yeah, this is basically really great constructive feedback that we can give to our executive director. So please be on the lookout Monday through your email.
Thank you, President Cano Sanchez. I'm not seeing any more raised hands. So, oh, Casey has a raised hand.
Waiting to see if Cassie was gonna come up, but everybody, elections are next week, so the polls are ready. Everything is completely set, and so everyone should be receiving an email. They'll start getting sent out at midnight 01 Monday night. So everybody will have one chance to cast their vote. They'll get a reminder email sent to their personal HSU email once per day until they vote. So let people know that if they don't want 5 reminder emails, they can just vote on the first day and really make sure that they cast that. So the voter's guide is on the AS website underneath the elections tab. Check it out and reach out to your candidates to find out who you're voting for, and think about telling your friends about the vacancies or thinking if you want to fill it.
Thank you, Casey. With that, I adjourn this meeting at 8:25. We did it.
Good job, everyone.
Friday together.
This will be my first and last time.
You did great.